This is Pocket Watching with JT, the call-in financial talk show focused on helping you get your money right. Jayson Thornton is a certified financial planner, licensed in both tax and investments. Now, this is not personal financial advice. This is JT's real reaction to all your money and business questions. Are you deep in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and looking for a way out? Call Pocket Watching with JT, the financial advisor for the people. Need more? Book your personal consultation with my man JT at PocketWatcher.net. Now, let's go Pocket Watching.
Hey, Pocket Watchers. Welcome to Pocket Watching with JT. I am certified financial planner Jayson Thornton. That means I am an actual financial advisor. I'm not those other guys who just play one on the internet. I do this for a living. In my practice, I specialize in tax and retirement planning for my clients. But on YouTube, I react to scammer news and your money questions. So listen, I want to give a big shout out to the over 120,000 of you who have already subscribed to Pocket Watching with JT. I appreciate that. Do me a favor, as you make your way into the live stream, go ahead and hit that like button. Share. If you haven't subscribed yet, just sit back, relax. You may like this show. We'll see. All right, let's get straight into it. I'm not going to hold you guys. Let's get straight into it. What are we talking about tonight? Well, tonight we have to talk about no accountability, right? Zero accountability. Dr. Boyce Watkins and the failure of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. All right, let's talk about that. Now, before we get there, I want to give a big shout out to a couple of YouTube channels that I've been watching lately, okay? I want to give a big shout out to Millionaire Money Minds, right? Millionaire Money Minds. And I want to give a big shout out to the No Regrets Show. Over the past couple of months, during tax season, when I wasn't able to make a lot of content, I was watching a lot of YouTube, and I was watching a lot of these guys' videos. I really like the content that they make. I've shared some of their videos and content on my community page, and I'm suggesting, hey, check these guys out. I like them. Hopefully, I'll be able to collab with them sometime in the future, but I really like the content that they make, because specifically they really take a look at a lot of these finance influencers and they hold them accountable for the things that they said in the past. The problem with a lot of these finance influencers is that they want all the praise when they make the right recommendation, or they give the right financial tip or financial advice. They give you a stock pick, all that stuff. They'll say, oh, look how great I am. But when it comes to the misses, when it comes to losing money for people who followed their recommendations, they stay quiet. And these two guys are really holding them accountable. So I recommend that you check them out, right? I recommend that you check them out. Now, back to Boyce. All right, so some of you may be asking, well, JT, why are you doing this show? Right? Why are you doing this show? What's the point? Right? Well, my answer to you out there, I said there's not one point for doing this show. There's actually three. I have 3 points of doing this show. Point number one, based on my observation of Dr. Boyce Watkins, he seems to be very confused as to why people are disappointed with his statements and reactions to the failure of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. He doesn't understand why. He seems actually very frustrated. He can't understand why people are calling him out to be accountable for what he did. So hopefully tonight I can help educate the PhD to understand why people are disappointed in him. So that's point number one. Point number two is, I think this is a great opportunity to learn. It's a great opportunity for everyone to realize that many of the finance influencers, when they give a recommendation to something, it's not really worth much. And I think we can use this as a teachable moment to say, listen, the next time a finance influencer is given a recommendation, let's remember what happened in this situation and not jump off the cliff, right? So that's point number 2. Then there's point number 3. Point number 3 to me is the most important point. Point number 3 is I'm doing the show because, now get this, I'm doing the show because I'm extremely petty. I am extremely petty. And Dr. Boyce Watkins, for some time now, he's been like leaving messages on some of my videos, and then he'll delete the message and little shots here and there. So listen, I'm going to have fun tonight because I'm petty. So that's why I'm doing the show. So let's get into it. Now, to be clear, I want to make a statement. I want to make sure people understand what I'm saying. Dr. Boyce Watkins is an extremely complex individual. Okay? Write that down if you're taking notes. Dr. Boyce Watkins is an extremely complex individual. He's no simple guy. He's complex. And in his complexity, I believe that Dr. Boyce Watkins has somewhat of a split personality, a split persona. There's 2 Boyce that you deal with. One Boyce is the PhD Boyce, the logical numbers guy, a man who spent years in higher education learning about finance. And then after he graduated college, he didn't go into the industry and actually, become a financial advisor or manage money or work for a hedge fund. But he went from being a student, a very good student, getting his PhD in finance, and then he went and transitioned immediately to the other side of the classroom and became a professor. He was teaching students about finance. Very analytical, logical individual. That's the Boyce, the PhD. But then there's this other Boyce. This other Boyce I like to refer to as the B1 cheerleader. Okay? Now, the B1 cheerleader Boyce is the other side of the coin to the PhD. See, the PhD is logical. They understand numbers. They should have studied finance law in college and then taught about finance law as a college professor. I get that guy. But it's the B1 cheerleader that I don't understand. See, the B1 cheerleader, he doesn't operate based off logic and reason. The B1 cheerleader operates purely off emotion. Just follow me. The B1 cheerleader Boyce is kind of like Issa Rae, right? When she said, I'm rooting for everyone Black. Now, when she said that, Black Twitter loved it. They loved it. I mean, they did that meme over and over again. Who are you rooting for? I'm rooting for everyone Black. It sounds good, right? That's the thing that tickles the ear. Yeah, I'm rooting for everyone Black. Here's the problem. The problem is that is illogical. Reality does not work that way. And if you give me a second, I'll give you an example. Let's say I needed heart surgery, right? I needed heart surgery. And I walk into the hospital, I have 2 options. Option 1, an older white man who doesn't understand my culture, doesn't understand my background, and, just someone that I wouldn't hang out with, right? But this older white man has a 35-year career of heart surgery. Option 2, a very relatable brother, someone that's around my age range. He can quote Jay-Z and Lil Wayne lyrics together with me. Someone that I would love to hang out with, maybe watch the Super Bowl with. This is my guy. The problem is the brother is a chiropractor, and the old white man has a track record of successful surgeries. Who do I pick? Well, I can tell you right now, I'm going with the old white man. I don't care how B1 I should be based on the culture. I'm going with the old white man because qualifications have to play a part as well. Here's a second choice. Let's say I am on trial for my life. If I lose this trial, they're going to put me in the electric chair. I walk into the courtroom. I have two options for an attorney. Two options. I have an older white gentleman who, once again, does not understand my culture. They couldn't quote a Jay-Z lyric to save their life. But this man has been representing people on charges like this for the past 45 years. Second option, a sister, about my age, come from the same neighborhood that I came from. She knows people who I know. Maybe even we went to the prom together. I don't know. She's been an attorney for about 10 years. The other guy about 35, 40 years. Okay. But she specializes in traffic tickets. Who do I go with? I can tell you right now, I'm going with the white boy again. Because I don't care how B1 I am supposed to be. My logical mind is going to tell me qualifications first, B1 second. Okay. All right. Now, I say all this to say that I believe that PhD Boyce, I believe that he would agree with me. I believe that PhD Boyce would 150% back me up with the statements I just said. PhD Boyce would be logical. He would say that only a fool would go to court with an attorney that practices traffic law when their life is on the line. Only a fool would allow a chiropractor to do heart surgery when you have a well-qualified white man who could do it for you. I think me and PhD Boyce would actually be friends. But ultimately, the problem is B1 cheerleader Boyce has overpowered the PhD. Early in his career, if you go back to some of his older content, I think we can agree that PhD Boyce was in control maybe about 60, maybe 70% of the time. 30% of the time, B1 cheerleader, but about 70% of the time, PhD, 30% cheerleader. But man, over the years of him being on social media, over the years, all of a sudden, B1 cheerleader has grown bigger and stronger and more controlling. I believe that B1 cheerleader is stronger because that's the one that gets fed by social media. See, social media does not feed the PhD. But every time that he beefs with a D-list celebrity, every time he goes online and he talks about Popeye's chicken, who gets stronger? It's not the PhD. It's the B1 cheerleader. And now I think the B1 cheerleader is driving the bus damn near 95% of the time. And that's why many of you who are fans of Dr. Boyce, I see your comments. You say that Dr. Boyce of today is not the same Dr. Boyce before. And I'm here to tell you based on my theory, it's because the B1 cheerleader took over. And I'm pleading with Boyce to take it back a little bit. Get back in control of yourself, or the B1 cheerleader is going to allow yourself to just drive over the cliff and end your career. Now, some of you will say, well, JT, you're just talking. You're trying to be funny. There is no two different types of Boyce. There's just one Boyce. All right. Well, I want to share this video with you. And after we see this video, I want you to tell me, is there one Boyce or is there two? Let's take a look.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to DrBoyceTV.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Let's hop into the conversation I wanted to really have with you really quick. It has to do with the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. Now, the people have asked me about it. I don't know a ton about what's going on with the Tulsa Fund. I was never affiliated with the fund. I never worked for the fund. I've never been on the team. I've never been on the board. I've never been on the staff. But I did mention the fund, spoke at one of their events, and I supported the fund. So in case you want to know what the Tulsa Fund was, the Tulsa Real Estate Fund was a fund created by a guy named Jay Morrison. Jay is a friend of mine. I've known Jay for many years, just like I've mentored a lot of young guys that are in this game in the financial space. If you know, I was one of the first ones to start doing this back in 2006. So a lot of people came along, Julian Gordon, a lot of people after that, Earn Your Leisure, stuff like that. And so here's what my view was with the Tulsa Fund. So the Tulsa Fund was brought to my attention by Jay Morrison in about 2017. He's a super smart guy. We had a great conversation, and he told me what he was doing. And I said, this sounds great. Good luck. I love it, brother. Good. I hope this goes well for you. And so, but I didn't read any paperwork, any fine print details, anything like that. But I just wished him well, right? And we became friends. And so I saw him promoting the fund. And about 2017 or so, he was really pushing it, and people were really getting excited about it. And so I was on his Instagram page, and I saw Nipsey Hussle, the late Nipsey Hussle, put something on there. We said, "This is epic, bro. This is epic. I'm going to invest, man. I'm going to put 10,000 in this," right? So when he said that, I got excited too, and I said, "Oh, well, I'll put in 10,000 too," right? So I invested 10,000. And then also later on, I was invited to speak at an event at they had a really fancy like banquet ball or something, and I spoke there. And I don't do fancy that well, but I did show up and speak. With investing, I'll do your due diligence. If you're not sure, if you don't understand the thing you're invested in, and you don't understand that there's a chance you can lose all your money, then don't participate. And you're asking, did I read the contract? The answer is no, I didn't, because I just didn't feel the need to do that. I felt like I wanted to support a Black man, and I wanted to see the fund do well. Yeah, I invested my money in the fund. I lost my money. I did not lose your money. I did not invest for you. I did not invest on anybody else's behalf but my own. The only person I have to be accountable to is my wife, because that was her money too. And we lost money when we made the investment. We did lose $10,000 in, supporting the fund. I liked the Black House a lot. I was very disappointed the Black House got sold. I'll say that. And I don't know everything that's happening there. I do not give investment advice. This is a special time. This is history. And this is our opportunity to do all the things that we're going to brag about when we're all old and gray and gathering in the same spot 40 years from now. Remember back when we were young and fly and sharp and everything else, and we're going to be like, see all these billions that's out here, young people, we did all of this, and it started back in 2018, back a long time ago. I remember when I first met Jay, and I remember talking to him when I was in the car, and someone had mentioned, there's a guy named Jay Morrison, and he'd like to chop. From the very minute that we started talking, I could tell that his energy was very good energy. He was a guy that seemed more interested in building bridges than in comparing, the size of what you it was more like, okay, King. He called me King. I love that. And he immediately started talking about ways that we could respect and support each other. And I love that, because we all know that when Black men come together and form teams, we become the greatest teams on the earth. It doesn't just happen on the football field and the basketball court. It happens anywhere that we work together. When I talked to Jay, I had the same feeling I had when I first heard about people like Barack Obama and others who have done extraordinary things in the community, except I think what Jay's doing is actually equally, if not more significant than what any politician has ever done, because he puts black people first all the time, no matter what. So Jay called me up and we were talking on the phone, and he said, I want to create this fund, and so, you know, I'm not gonna lie, you know, I'd seen other fundraising efforts in the community that didn't quite meet the smell test, if you know what I'm talking about. Ain't saying no names, ain't talking about nobody's business. It's always positive. And I felt a problem. It's a dangerous thing because trust is a real issue in our community. You know, we really don't trust each other. And it's kind of fascinating that we trust white people more than we trust each other, because white people have been the ones that have been killing us and lynching us and raping us and castrating us, but we give them our trust, but we don't trust each other. It's kind of crazy. You know, just so you know, we all a little bit crazy. At least I know I am. And so, so when he told me about the fund, I just, you know, started asking questions. And, you know, and my questions aren't easy questions. You know, my PhD is in finance. You know, I taught college students this stuff for a long time. So I asked some pretty detailed questions, some pretty tough questions. Jay answered approval. Oh, we're going to set it up this way. This was listening, and my instinct said, okay, he's really thought this through. He's really laid this out. This is going to be nice. This infrastructure is solid. And I immediately gained faith in what Jay was doing. You know, I said, okay, you know what? I'll back you. Let me know what I can do. Let me know how I can help. When I think in this fund, that question coming to me would actually get another question, which is, you know, why not invest your money with this fund? Why not? Every smart person in this room and in our community is investing money in something. You should be investing in something. So why wouldn't you jump to want to invest in this fund?
Now, I'm not exactly sure what you saw, but I saw a man changing hats back and forth, going from PhD Boyce, right? Going from PhD Boyce back and forth to B1 cheerleader Boyce. Like, I couldn't understand exactly what's going on, because out of one side of his mouth, he's being logical. He's saying, listen, do not invest more than you're willing to lose. Now, he said that after the fund failed, but he said it clearly. Do not invest more than you can afford to lose. I just want to show you guys something in my notes. If you watch the entire video that he did the other day, the entire video, he said so many things that I would agree with. It made me think for a moment that PhD Boyce is back in control. But then there was times where the B1 cheerleader took control. But I want you to focus on these points. During that live stream he did yesterday, he said these things. He said the fact that Jay Morrison and the Tulsa Real Estate Fund had no board. Jay Morrison had 100% control over that fund. He said that was troubling. Now, he did say, I believe he said he had a conversation with Dr. Claude Anderson, and Dr. Claude Anderson was the one that told him that the fact that there was no board, it was troubling. I don't understand why he needed Dr. Claude Anderson to tell him that, but listen, I'm good with it. As long as you get there, I'm happy, Boyce. But Boyce said, listen, the fact that there's no board, that's troubling. He also said that the manager fee was too high. He was paying himself too much money. Then he said that it was there was a problem in this type of investment because it was illiquid, meaning there's a hold on your money. He said he prefers the stock market because in the stock market, he can sell the next day, get his money back. But with this type of investment, your money is locked up. There's a 1-year hold on your money no matter what. Then even after the 1 year, if you request a redemption, a refund of your money, Jay Morrison doesn't have to give it to you. This is classic PhD Boyce talking. The problem is this guy. See, this guy was saying something totally different years ago. This guy said, I asked Jay Morrison some pretty hard questions. You heard him? He said, I got my PhD in finance, so my questions are not easy. You heard him. And he said, Jay Morrison had all the answers. How? How, Boyce? How did Jay Morrison have all the answers? Because everything that you had a problem with yesterday was in place day one. Day one of starting this fund, there was no board on the SEC paperwork. On the SEC paperwork, Jay Morrison was the CEO of the fund. That's Chief Executive Officer. He was the CFO of the company. That's the Chief Financial Officer. He was the COO of the company. That's the Chief Operational Officer. He was also the CTO, the Chief Technology Officer. He was everything on the board day one when Boyce gave him the $10,000. So if it's a problem here, why wasn't it a problem then? I'm just throwing out theories. But I believe that Cheerleader Boyce was lying. I believe Cheerleader Boyce, when he said he asked the hard questions, Jay Morrison had all the answers. I think Cheerleader Boyce was just talking because he was rooting for a black man. He literally said, I swear to you, Boyce literally said he was just in the mindset of go black man, go. Word for word, go black man, go. That was his mindset. So I think Cheerleader Boyce was either lying or exaggerating when he said he asked Jay Morrison all the hard questions and Jay Morrison had all the answers. Here's another reason why I think Cheerleader Boyce may have been fibbing. During the time that the Tulsa Real Estate Fund was actually started, Jay Morrison filed for personal bankruptcy. Let me say that again. I want to make sure that I'm clear. 1 month, give or take, 1 month before the founding of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, the founder of the fund, Mr. Jermaine D. Morrison, filed for personal Chapter 7 bankruptcy. That bankruptcy was not closed out before starting the fund. Any of you who have ever been through a bankruptcy, you're well aware that a bankruptcy takes longer than 30 days. One of the questions that I think PhD Boyce would have asked was, how are you doing financially, King? I appreciate you calling me King, Jay. But if you are going to go in front of the public, you're going to attempt to raise millions of dollars to manage on the behalf of Black people who I care so much about. I care so much about Black people. If you're going to raise money, take money from them and manage that money, maybe PhD Boyce should have asked, how are you doing financially? Are you currently having any money problems? Or you could have just Googled his name and the bankruptcy pops up. All right. That is why I personally believe that it was Cheerleader Boyce that was talking at that gala. PhD Boyce checked out the room a long time ago. Cheerleader Boyce was the one that was saying these silly things. Let's keep going. Cheerleader Boyce said it has a solid infrastructure. How? How was the infrastructure solid? If you actually looked at the paperwork. And yesterday, this Boyce, PhD Boyce, said he never looked at the paperwork. He said it out of his mouth. He said, I never looked at the paperwork. But B1 Cheerleader said it's a solid infrastructure. The company had zero history, no transactions, no real estate prior to starting the fund. There were absolutely no assets in the fund. The only thing the fund had on day one was debt. No assets, only debt on day one. PhD Boyce would know that's bad infrastructure. Cheerleader Boyce, it's okay. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Now, this Boyce yesterday said that you got to be careful with an investment where it's illiquid, where they hold on to your money and you can't cash out when you want. PhD Boyce said that. B1 Cheerleader said at the little meeting, he said, why not? He couldn't even, this Boyce couldn't even articulate one reason why not to invest. This one had a bunch of reasons. This one, he couldn't even articulate one feasible reason why not to invest in the fund. What is going on? What is going on? Now listen, this next part, I want you to pay attention to. Boyce, just yesterday, Boyce told a story about something that happened to him in his past. And my father taught me that when a man speaks on his past, pay attention. Because you can find a lot of insight into the character of a man based on the stories he tells about his own past. Good, bad, or indifferent. If you listen to a man long enough, he will tell you everything you need to know. You just gotta pay attention. This is what my father taught me. So I want you to hear. I want you to hear the story that Boyce, and I think this is Cheerleader Boyce, but I want you to hear the story that Boyce tells about something that happened to him in his past. Pay attention to this.
This is the last time I want to talk about it on this platform. I'm not talking about it no more. I'm just not. I done told you everything I know. It's like the police. If the police, you know, it reminds me like this one time with this lady. I used to work at the dorm and in college, and I would sit at the desk and I would work all night. And so packages would come in for the students, and we would keep all the packages in the back office. Well, I didn't know this, but I had a homeboy who was a thief. And so this dumbass stole packages, and I didn't even know it. He was supposed to be my buddy. He was he was stealing stuff behind my back. So this old white lady calls me and says a package is missing. Do you know what happened to it? And I was like, I don't know. I'm really tired because I stayed up from 12 to 8 a.m. and she's calling me like 11, like a really bad time, right? And the phone's really loud and it was like almost traumatically loud. And I remember being mad to answer the phone. I'm like, hello, what? And she's like, well, there's a package missing. Do you know what happened? I said, no, I don't. I'm sorry. And then I go to sleep again. And as soon as I fall asleep, she calls me again. Well, there's a package missing. Do you know where the package is? I was like, no, I told you I don't know where the package is. And then I go to sleep again. 10 minutes later, there's a package missing. Are you sure you don't know where it is? I was like, lady, I don't know where your damn package is. That's how I feel when it comes to talking about like stuff like this. It's like, I told you one time, And that's it. In fact, I didn't say it once. I said it like 3 times. And despite how many times you say it, there are people that are going to, they just have their beliefs. Like that lady, she believed that I stole the package. That's what it was. She didn't. She's like, oh, he's black. He must have did it. Whatever. Right?
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? That was a personal life story from Dr. Boyce Watkins. That's like a window into this man's character. Let me just make sure we recap the story he just told. Dr. Boyce said while he was in college, he had a job at the front desk, I guess, at a dorm. Part of his job was to take the packages, secure the packages, and put them in the office. This is his job. He befriends someone who turns out to be a thief. Boyce is unaware of the criminal behavior, the criminal mindset of this guy who he believes is his friend. Later, he finds out this guy's a thief. But during the time, he's unaware. He's fooled by this grifter. He works his shift and then leaves. One of the residents of the dorm is calling him up because her package was stolen. It's missing. She can't find it. Instead of being concerned about, whoa, hold on, it's my job to take the packages and secure them. Someone saying that a package is missing? Oh my God, let me address this. He's not concerned about the woman missing the package. He's concerned about his peace, being able to sleep, to rest. Now he's acknowledging now, he realized, or later he found out, that it was his friend who stole the package. But the only thing he can think of is how annoyed he was by this woman who kept calling him looking for answers. This man, Boyce is cold-blooded. He's mad at her because she is a victim of his negligence. Follow me here. Follow me here. This woman is a victim of Boyce's negligence because he allowed a thief and a grifter into his circle. And he's unaware that this grifter is using this fake relationship to steal from the very people he was employed to protect. And now, years later, he is still upset at the victim of the theft, claiming that the only reason she was calling Boyce is because she was racist, and Boyce thinks that she thinks Boyce stole the package. Well, Boyce, you didn't have to be the one that stole the package. It was your job, your responsibility to protect the package. That's why she's reaching out to you. Now, if you were the one who stole it, then that's another story. But who else is she supposed to call? It was your job. Her package was stolen on your watch, so she calls you up. You took zero accountability back in college, just like you're taking zero accountability today. See, no one's claiming that Boyce ran the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. What we're saying is, in your capacity of the community's Black finance PhD, you dropped the ball. Just like in college, when that guy acted like he was your friend so that he can steal from the people you were supposed to protect. I believe Jay Morrison is acting like he's your friend. And he very well could be stealing from the people who you claim you're here to protect. You told that story. That story came out of your mouth, and you still was unable to connect the dots to the day. zero accountability in college, zero accountability today. So here we go. I want to hear from you guys. The link is up. I want to hear from some callers. We got some callers in the back. I'm going to start bringing you guys up. Hold on. We got Tone Talks in the building. Tone is coming up first. Hold on. Let me bring Tone in here. Give me 1 second. I just want to give a big shout out to everyone who came in. We have 2,800 people here. Everyone who gave a super chat, I want to say thank you. Big shouts out to all of you. To the agitator, thank you so much. To Nina, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Dr. Carissa, thank you so much. And to I Smoke Hip Hop Live, thank you so much. But let me bring up my brother, Tone Talks, to the live. Tone Talks, what's going on?
What up? You hear me?
Yes, sir. You're live on the air.
All right. Yeah, man. Appreciate you doing the show. It's time to air out some laundry, but everybody should know. Because I look back at this thing and I think that a lot of people don't really realize the timeline, because this thing really 5 years ago was about to take off. And like what happened was he's about to run people money. He's about to get 40 million. I did a show. First I did a show, like a standalone show with no calls. And then I did a second show where I told him to call in, I'm gonna light you up, and he didn't call in, meaning Morrison. And his people came on Instagram. I said he can call in and get this work if he wants to. There was a guy that is in the bankruptcy that reached out to me at that time, and what he basically represented is that he had a deal with Morrison, Jermaine, and that deal was essentially a fraud was done purportedly, where it was stolen out from under him, his family property. This guy reached out to me, and then what essentially he said on it is that Morrison was supposed to get a certain amount of share, but then the property got taken out from under him by Morrison. Right. They came to a settlement, which means they agreed on an amount that he's owed, and then Morrison again reneged and put it in the bankruptcy. And that was at the time what they were fighting about. I don't know what resolved from that, but that was what happened. Well, when they announced this thing, I think a lot of people don't understand. He has painted himself, meaning Morrison, like a HBCU grad. That's what he looked like. That's a new thing. Come on YouTube, be a dropout, and look like an HBCU grad. Now, people say, what does a prisoner look like? What does an HBCU grad look like? Look at this man, bro, on the thumbnail. So then you take your name and you cut it to J. So when I search you, all I see is Jay Morrison and don't know stuff. Jermaine is the search, though. Okay. So he was about to run people for $40 to $50 million. Well, I seen it drop off right after I did my show and said, hold up, slow this down. Everybody was like, oh man, you hating and this, that, and the other. 3-time felon, bankrupt, dropout. And in the bankruptcy, I think it said like $2,000 of income. It had like $5,000, a couple $1,000s of assets, and it had like hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt with student loans. That's correct. But then in addition, I'm coming through a couple of things. Without Boyce, and also I have to say Nasheed too, because he brought him on and he said something about lanes or something. I don't know what these people was talking about. He can't get traction without the Shade Room, Boyce Watkins, and other YouTubers validating him, meaning Morrison. So now when we look back on it, I think that there's more obligation than people hold, not legally, but socially, because Boyce Watkins validated him. Right. That's what happened. So with me saying that this don't make no sense, you got the man selling $1 million classes saying that this dude is the truth. All the paperwork say it don't make no sense. Let me explain. In the paperwork, there was a key man clause. People say, what's a key man clause? Well, a key man clause is what I've seen, because when I optioned Rick's story to 50 people, Randall Emmett and them, I put that in there. And what a key man clause does is, if say Randall or 50 leave the production house, I don't want to still have a deal with y'all. I'm here for 50, or I did it with Randall. They partners on that BMF stuff, as I understand it. They definitely were for power. But if Randall leaves, I don't want to be with Emmett Productions or whatever it was called. So a key man clause makes it so I can leave once you leave. Okay. What did Morrison do? He put a key man clause with him that if he leaves, your money might be lost. So a guy that's a 3-time felon, that's a
Right.
dropout, that has an active bankruptcy, has made it so if he leaves, your money gone. What's the likelihood somebody like that might not be stable? Very likely.
Very much so.
And so I'm telling you all this because this timeline happened, and a lot of people forgot that at that time, me and Yvette Carnell was saying it, and wasn't nobody really trying to talk about it because they had the picture on the shade room that they put. Remember about they gonna buy up the whole city and fix gentrification.
Yeah, this power couple looking to buy a town.
And so I'm saying all this just to say, you know, and I'm not gonna hold it too long, that it's more than what people say in terms of like looking at it now. Because I still, even the $10,000, I'm invested $10,000. You know what that signals to other people? You have black people who had no business giving this man $500, meaning in Jay Morrison, giving this man $500. And now don't nobody want to get honest no more. Don't nobody want to come out and say, I effed up. My family might not have ate because of me. Because I believed in a 3-time felon that was bankrupt, that was a dropout. Right. My family might not have ate last week because of me. And I'm just saying this because there's Boyce. First, there's the investor. You know, individually, there's the investor. Y'all got to stop with this flat black people do well bullshit. You got to look at people and say, what you doing for the community? You individually. Hold up. 3-time felon? Well, where your felonies come from? Are these moral turpitude crimes? Moral turpitude. Are these moral crimes that you did? How do you give your money to somebody with an active bankruptcy? Jayson, do that make no sense?
Absolutely. Listen, if I was to do that in my capacity of an actual financial advisor, a certified financial planner, if I would take a client of mine, their money, and invest it with someone who's in an active bankruptcy, I would lose my license.
And so now here we are. Y'all bought the classes. They got Earn Your Leisure. Did you hear about it, JT? Kamala's gonna sit down with Earn Your Leisure. They don't know shit. They don't know nothing.
Of course.
To me, they don't know nothing. You got the teacher and the basketball player. And so like they sitting up with her. Shit, I don't know if she vetted all the shows they did with all the people that you done showed.
Oh, with all the grifters and the convicted felon on the show,
you got
I
her
doubt
sitting there talking with them about financial literacy. Let me say this about financial literacy. There are elements of it that can be helpful, but in general, it is about black defectiveness in my view. You are not defective. You did not spend too much on Jordans, as old ass boys keep talking about. What happened here is a country that decided by policy to calcify wealth through lineage and through inheritance. The top inheritance used to start being taken after like 600, 700,000 in the 80s. They don't start that shit till 13 million per individual, 26 for two people.
If you're jointly married, we're talking about 24 million.
They have decided who's gonna be rich. It ain't Jordans that mess you up. See, Boyce read to me like a nigga who never had Jordans. Excuse my language. A dude who never had Jordans. So now we gotta hear about Jordans. I'm sorry you didn't get the Jordans when you was young. Let that go though. You don't know enough. You ain't been out here enough. And I'm just saying this because I just wanted to come in and just support you and also say, yeah, this started like 5 years ago. And I tried to tell y'all, I helped a lot of black folk. They tell me, like I was going to give him money. A lot of people done told me that. He's going to run that. He's going to run that for 40 million. He's going to run that for clear 40 million. And when I saw it, because like it just like tailed off, like Tone saying, this don't make no sense. Boyce was supposed to say that.
Right. The finance PhD.
I don't believe, let me say this. I can't prove this because we can't go backwards. Without Boyce Watkins support, this fund don't get $1 million. I'll leave it at that.
Listen, Tone, I want to say thank you. I've been a fan of your content for a long time. You and Yvette and Eli from What Happened to Common Sense, you guys have been really warning people for a long time. The problem is a lot of people didn't want to believe because they were on support anything black and they were following recommendations like with Boyce. And I think B1 cheerleader Boyce is an issue. We need finance PhD Boyce back. All right, so let me go to the other callers. Thank you. Hey, listen, you guys got to go over to Tone Talks. Go subscribe to Tone Talks. I watch almost every live show that he does. I'm in the chat with everybody else. Go subscribe to Tone Talks. Here we go. I got some callers. I'm going to go in order. So we have Hassan, we have Curtis, JB, Eric. We got some more people, but those are the ones that are coming up first. So be ready. So we got Hassan coming up first. So here we go. Hassan, you're live on the air with Pocket Watching with JT. What's going on?
JT, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
What's going on, man? It's your boy Haas from Jersey. I ain't called up in a minute, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, when you talk about Boyce and Jay Morrison, and then I can catch the live stream on, you know I'm calling. And it's crazy that Tone Talks called today because he was the one, when I was going to invest in the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, him and Yvette Carnell videos was the one that had me questioning it. And I got a friend who actually works on Wall Street. When I seen a video, I brought everything to my friend, and he looked at the whole script for like 5 minutes and was like, "Do not waste your money on this shit," you know. And yeah, and it was crazy. But what I wanted to say was, I was following Boyce back in 2018, 2019. Tariq Nasheed was another one that I was following, and they was all pushing this shit. You know, black wealth, black power, all this other crazy stuff that nobody want to take accountability for today. Boyce Watkins didn't want to take accountability when Charles Wu got caught on a hot mic talking about he was selling dreams to black people. He ain't want to take accountability for that either, you know.
Called him an actor. He was giving a performance.
Exactly. And I remember that same video that you were seeing, because like I said, I was following Boyce when the whole black gala that he had when he was pushing that crap that everybody just lost their money on, man. And it was a shame, you know what I'm saying? And it's crazy how, you know, we have to target our own people for a come up. You know, and Boyce is doing the same thing. He's been sued plenty of times because he's not paying his workers and all the other stuff that I found out about Boyce. And it's just across the board with all these grifters, all these get rich scheme, you know, course sellers. And it's just getting out of hand, man. And I'm just glad that you're doing what you're doing, keeping your foot on their necks, you know, so you can let everybody else, you know about these people. And it's just one thing I wanted to mention. I don't know if Tone Talks remember this, but it was when Jay Morrison got married or whatever. You know, he posted been all the swaggy millionaire and everything like that. And this fool had a website asking for donations for his wedding and his honeymoon so him and his wife could have a good time.
It was
exactly
for the honeymoon.
For the honeymoon.
Pay, and I remember when Tone talked about it, you can pay for them to go on an excursion. You can pay for this and that for their honeymoon. He was supposed to be the real estate mogul, but he was crowdfunding his own wedding.
It was crazy, man. And right after that, I seen my homeboy and showed him the Tulsa Real Estate, you know, paperwork of what we seen. And like I said, 5 minutes of reading that, he said, "Do not waste your money on this crap." And I want to thank Tone Talks for helping me keep my $500 in my pocket, because if I didn't watch his video and Yvette Carnell's video, I would have blindly invested, because they had me with the whole, you know, let's do group economic talk and all that other stuff. You know, when I was looking for a way out of corporate America and stuff like that, and I hear Boyce telling you to quit your job and start your own business, you know, like businesses don't, like 50% of businesses don't fail in the first 2 years. But that's all I got, JT. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Hey, listen, brother, thank you so much. Every time you call in, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, here we go. We got Curtis, and then we got Eric after Curtis. So, Curtis, you're live on the air with Pocket Watching with JT. What's going on? Curtis, going once. Going twice. All right, we got to move on. Sorry, Curtis. Eric, we got Eric, and then we got T-Mac, and then we got El Malik in that order. So let me bring up Eric. Eric, you're live on the air.
Jason, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Oh, excellent. So, no, just I called in, I tuned in to see what you had to say about old Boyce, but then I called in to actually share a couple of things. One with regards to Boyce, just specifically, but then the overall general situation. Let's lead off with the punchline. Ladies and gentlemen, please, 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 when you come across stuff like this, see somebody like Jayson or myself. I'm a tax accountant, CPA, enrolled agent, or similar, because we'll generally be able to kind of sift through what the deal is. We're going to know to ask. Certain things aren't going to pass the sniff test with us. Right. And the real catch is that, so what do you do when your financial professional has the same type of attitude? That makes it a little bit more tricky. I mean, obviously, generically, it's like you just do the best you can, but you have to ask yourself what the sell is. People who are usually kind of selling something worth buying usually lead with facts and figures. They don't lead with culture and personality. That comes a distant second. It's neat that that's the same. It's neat that you guys like the same movies, music, or whatever, but that's not the lead. In fact, you see that kind of same thing. In fact, I've seen this, frankly, too much in my own practice, is with the CFX, like crypto scams and stuff like that. I happen to be part of the Latin American community as well, and they are slick with it. They have their own people, screw their own people. Stuff is in Spanish, yet when it comes to the business end of things, when it comes to the contracts, it is in English. A lot of these guys don't. So just as an example, but I just wanted to share something I heard years ago. I remember, because I used to listen to Boyce every once in a while. He was kind of entertaining, just see what he had to say. But then I can't remember who the friend that he was talking to, that, they were talking about investing, and, his friend got his daughter into investing, and, so she's buying stocks, and, well, hey, why would I buy stocks? Well, hey, look, you just made this money and you didn't have to do anything. Oh, well, okay. Well, then they're in the car one day, and he's like, well, so what are you looking up? And the kid said to him, none of your business. And I thought, and they were laughing, but I didn't laugh. I thought, that's kind of disturbing. This is your kid. Like, why is that a joke? And when you played because the story that you did, very revealing. How is that revealing? Well, you hit the nail on the head. I just want to reinforce that, buddy. You're in charge. Why are you acting put out when it's like you're having us forget that you are the one that's in charge, and that's what guys like that do. I'm sure I don't, honestly, I have no dog in this fight. I don't know who he is. I only know the guy that's presented to me and that's been presented to me. But I'll tell you, man, based on some of those presentations, I'd be a little suspicious, because, if you're going to tell me a story like that, none of me reading into that is going to be any good for you.
That's the crazy thing. That's the crazy thing, Eric. When he was telling that story, in his mind, he thought he looked good in that story. He thought he was the right person in that story.
Absolutely.
It's your job to protect this woman's package. She gets home, the package isn't where it's supposed to be. Of course she's going to call you. The fact that you're annoyed, the fact that you later find out it was your friend who stole the package, and you still feel no accountability or responsibility for this person's loss, it shows an insight to who he is at his core.
Yes. I mean, and if anything, just whole different levels of things. It's almost like the difference between guys that have done it for a living versus guys that are academic. Not to say that that's not a thing. Look, you've met them like I've met them, even guys that have been in industry for a number of years. There's a big difference between experience. Look, I could tell you've been doing this for, since 2008, 2009, but that's another nail you hit right on the head. What kind of experience? Where did you do it in? And it's not that you can't give a guy a chance. It's that you got to kind of ask the relevant questions. You got to kind of know what the relevant questions are in order to ask them, but just pay attention to those little clues that'll tell you, like, if you heard that coming from somebody else, would you trust them? I don't think so. And see, that's the other thing. Have that come from somebody else. Have that come from somebody you hate. And if you still feel the same way, then it's probably okay, but I'll be willing to bet you it's not.
Yeah, I'm with it, man. Thanks for calling in, Eric. I appreciate it. You hit the nail right on the head. I want to make sure that did not go over people's head. That personal story that Boyce told that tried to explain away why he's currently annoyed at the fact that people are disappointed with him over the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. It was his same disappointment that this woman was calling him about a package that he was supposed to be in charge of protecting, and his friend stole it. That's ridiculous. All right, here we go. Going to the next caller, we have El Malik Shabazz. You're live on the air with Pocket Watching with JT.
Hey, what up, JT? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead. You sound a little far away, but go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, let me get close. Yeah, I'm in the car. I've been trying to give Boyce a chance, but I watched him the other day, and that just told me that the brother refuses to even admit any type of accepting the fact that he made an error, and right. that just showed me right there, man, that I gotta cut Boyce off, man. I should listen to him all the time, but that's in fact I asked him on his channel, did you really think you was going to get a return on that 10 grand? I wanted him to answer that, because I don't think he believed that if he did do it. I mean, knowing that knowing how that situation was structured. So yeah, I'm glad you reposted what he said at that when he was doing the cheerleading, because I forgot all about that, man.
And the thing about it is, Jay Morrison, being as savvy as Jay Morrison is, he used that as a marketing tool. He kept posting that. He kept showing that to people so that he could use the credibility that Boyce built up over these years to be able to get his stamp of approval of the fund. Boyce needs to protect his brand, but he's slinging it out to anybody who's B1, because once again, the cheerleader Boyce has took control of the wheel and it's driving the bus.
And the sad thing is, they were tearing him up in them comments, like on his channel. When I was, I'm watching the numbers, I'm watching the flow, and they was, oh man, the Boyce he's losing, man. They was on his head, man. In the chat, it was, right. And he just doesn't want to admit, So, you brothers, man, y'all been on the game, man. Y'all not hating on nobody, man. Y'all bringing that real pressure, that real, scrutiny that's needed, man. Because now the next person that may really be legit, they can't get no support from the community because of that bullshit that Jay Morrison just did. It's bad, man. But anyway, JT, I appreciate you, brother. Keep doing it. Get on how you live, and I'm out of here.
All right, my brother. Thank you so much. We got T-Mac coming up next. Then it's JB. Then we got DJ Bless One. And there's more people. Trust me, I'm going to get to you. Don't worry about it. I will get to you. Let me bring up T-Mac. You're live on air.
Good evening, good night. At this point, I'm not even blaming Jay Morrison no more. He told you to your face how he was going to steal from you. I mean, I looked on that website for 5 minutes because I had people coming to me asking, I'm a CFP, asking, hey, should I invest in this? Me looking at this site for 5 minutes and saying, well, if this many people already gave you $500, you ain't bought nothing yet? It wasn't adding up. And then eventually somebody tried to symbol around him and tell him to get a prospectus and I said, wait a minute now, how you just fundraising all willy-nilly and taking people money and ain't no accountability? So absolutely not. No one on my team, on my book of clientele is about to just give their money all willy-nilly to somebody who just got out of prison. Absolutely not. I see a grift when it's coming from the streets. Y'all been hustling all the time like this.
Even the NFL Players Association put out an alert to all of their players, warning them about the fund, warning them about Jay Morrison's criminal past.
He told you to your face. And then on top of that, Boris. He gives me real pick-me energy. Just go with the flow, but you know what's wrong. Mm-hmm. Because you want to be picked and you want to be famous. And I wonder how many times he failed the SIE. Because ain't no way you've been going this far in finance and you ain't trying to do. You can't tell me. No, he took it. He failed it. You can't tell me that man ain't took it.
Boyce has. I don't believe that Boyce ever ever stepped into the world of actually practicing finance the way you and I have, right?
That's wild.
He went directly from being a student of finance, graduating, getting his PhD, to turning around to the other side of the classroom and being a professor. When he graduated, the SIE didn't even exist, right? You were just doing straight
sixes and
Series
sevens.
7. And I don't think he ever did any of that. He went straight from student to professor. So he knows theory. He knows concepts, but he's never.
And that's why he should not be giving out advice to anybody.
Exactly.
Just you should stay in a classroom, read some papers, mark some papers, and give theory, because you out here and people are following you blinded to the wind because the professor said, the doctorate said, and have all of us going, no. So at this point, I don't even blame Jay no more.
It works in real life.
Yeah, I don't even blame Jay no more. At this point, I'm blaming everybody else because he told you to your faces and y'all just clapped and said, we're doing it for the people. It was like those buzzwords, the wealth management. Like, no, as they start to give you all these buzzwords, you need to see somebody with some commas behind their name. That's all I got to say. Good night.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it. All right, listen, if you call in, I'm getting to you, okay? The Pocket Watcher has been gone for months, and I am going to get to every single person who hits that link, and we're going to have a conversation. So I'm going to JB next, then I'm going to DJ. Just do me a favor. After your call is over, make sure that you disconnect because you can allow other people to get into the back room, okay? So JB, you're live on the air with Pocket Watching with JT.
Hey, JT, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Cool, man. I'm going to keep it quick, man. You know what's unfortunate about this, man, that I think about is the amount of people, period, black or otherwise, that probably will never invest ever again simply because of this one instance. A lot of people, you know, regardless that, you know, the previous person was the CFP, she was kind of talking like, you know, she doesn't blame Jay Morris, and essentially she blames the people, but people don't know what they don't know, man. Like a lot of people, I think day to day don't think anything about investing because they're below the poverty line, that was his target market. They're below the poverty line. And let's be honest, they're thinking about survival. Every 30 days, they're trying to think about how they're going to pay the rent, how they're going to pay the water, electric and all that. They ain't got time. They're not watching YouTube, JT and all that type of stuff. They're worried about surviving. So they don't have time, quote unquote, to do all the 5 minutes, even the 5 minutes of research that she, you know, had and all that kind of stuff. And listen, I'm all for it. Like, I'm all about accountability. And I feel like we're walking around with this supercomputer in our pocket. And instead of watching, you know, I don't know, world star videos or whatever, we should be using it to enlighten ourselves. But that's just not the reality for a lot of people. So they fall into this I don't know, this tragedy where like they see somebody like JT who claims to be, you know, he's a decent, you know, he's somewhat articulate, handsome, seemingly business savvy guy. You know, he
talking about Jay Morrison, right?
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, my bad, man. Jay Morrison. All these J's, man. But you know, Jay Morrison, you know, he clean cut, whatever, and he plays the part well. And all they know is, hey, man, this guy, he looks the part. It looks like he's the real deal. And then they roll with it, and maybe they do minimal, quote unquote, perusing or research, and then they fall into the trap. And it's like, you know, it's unfortunate that I think that probably there's a lot of people who won't ever invest again. I know during that town hall, there was one gentleman. He was an older gentleman, black guy. He.
Uh-oh, you cut off. Can you hear me? Try to call back in. If you call back in, I'll try to get back to you. Let me go to DJ Bless One. DJ Bless One. Then I got Johnny. And then I got Clarity Speaks. I remember Clarity Speaks in that order. Here we go. DJ Bless One. You're live on the air.
Hey, man. What's good, JT, man?
Yes,
First
sir.
of all, congratulations on your accomplishment, and you're probably gonna hit 500,000 in a little bit here. But I don't want to be cynical because a lot of people in your chat probably were the ones who invested in this, and I've seen my parents lose 20,000 believing in support black business, and I still support black business. But the thing with Dr. Boyce Watkins, why I'm loving what you're doing, because you have a credential. This is kind of your art. You actually bring the actual facts and you substantiate it. So now the people who, because let me just get around the bush. There's a lot of things that have been highlighted on Boyce Watkins, and people will still negate the fact that these were credible things. It's not just people who don't like him and do the Morris talkings and all that. No, I'm trying to be blessed one today and not whatever I am behind the scenes. It's like, whoa, even the NFL warned you about situations like that. And what he does is he has a condescending tone when he talks down on people, and because he articulates himself very well. And many of us, like, that's why I kind of like what you're doing. Like, I hate to say the stereotype, but you don't look like the average hood dude, but even though you could adapt over there. So people have to take serious what you're saying. So out of the hundreds and hundreds of people highlighting this, I think a lot of people are actually going to sit down and be like, damn, Boyce again. And there's no accountability. He'll rebuttal what you're saying with like this kind of court jester behavior. At least most intellects, we call it court jester, but others will look at it as, wow, that's a good reasoning, because I hate to say big words or whatever. And they'll say, man, he's like the previous caller who just dropped down. He can articulate himself, but that doesn't mean anything when facts like what you're bringing here actually shows you what's going on in the community. And one final thing before I get off, my thing is, I'm not going to stop supporting Black business, but sometimes guys like Dr. Boyce Watkins, it could leave a bad taste in people who genuinely want to invest with, especially the ones who look like us. And the burn that people in your chat, whoever invested in Dr. Morse, I said, my bad, Dr. Boyce, that's a burn that kind of leaves generations and generations where mistrust becomes in the community. There goes why we see it the way it is now. But man, you have a blessed one. Thank you. Don't let everybody deter you from what you're doing. Everything needs to be highlighted. It's not called exposing. It's highlighting errors that we need to avoid or whatever, man. Blessings to you, King.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I want to be clear here. I'm not trying to hold Dr. Boyce Watkins to a level of perfection. I am not perfect. I have many different little things that are annoying, character flaws, all of that. I'm only trying to hold him accountable at the level of what he proclaims himself to be. He is a finance PhD. It's real. He got it from Ohio State. He should have known better. So as a finance online influencer, because that's really what he is now, right? I mean, he has a PhD in finance, but I'm unaware of any college that he's a professor at currently. I'm unaware. Maybe I missed it. Someone in the chat, or maybe you can call up and let me know if he's actually a professor at a institution that's accredited. I'm unaware, but he's really a finance influencer. And any finance influencer has some sort of responsibility to their following. And I feel like he's dropping the ball. Many of his own followers are telling him he's dropping the ball. But I feel as if Boyce is the type of guy who really wants to fit in with the cool kids' lunch table. And the cool kids are telling him not to turn on Jay. The cool kids are telling him, or at least in the back of his mind, he's thinking, if I do what I know is right as the PhD, then the B1 cheerleader might not get invited to the party. And I think that's the issue. All right, let me go to Johnny, then Clarity Speaks, then Kyle. So Johnny, you're live on the air with Pocket Watching with JT.
Okay. Thank you, first off, JT, for all the free information you give on your website. First and foremost, thank you.
Oh, yes,
okay.
Sir. You're welcome.
Second, I disagree with you about giving Boyce a chance. If someone, and I got this from you, if someone has a rap history, if someone has a criminal record, you don't give them a chance in that same field. He clearly dropped the ball. I wouldn't want him around my children talking about finances. His character is so flawed and making horrible decisions. Like the guy brought up that Asian man that was on that hype mic, that this Jay Morrison thing, just period. He, as far as financing anything, is influencer anything, he is done. And I mean done. Okay, second, I want to know, why can you and Orlando Minor make a fund Orlando and you have so much knowledge and everything. Could you guys make a fund, or is that a scam? Is the fund thing a scam in itself? Like,
that's a great question. That's a great question. Let me answer. That's a great question. Could we open a fund? Yes. But the real question, how effective would it be? I am an extreme promoter of passive investing. I do not personally invest in individual stocks. I am an index fund guy. Many people who claim to be money managers suck at their job, right? And I'm speaking in the person of, I'm a certified financial planner. Most investment advisors, money managers cannot beat the index fund, right? They can't beat the index. They lose to the index over the long term. So I would never open a fund if I'm not able to beat the index. Why put all that pressure on me to try to beat the index when most of the money managers in the world can't do it? I'm going to do what Warren Buffett, who arguably is the greatest investor of our generation, he said that if he was to leave all his money to his kids, this is the advice he would give to his kids, just put it in the S&P 500. So if I can't beat the index, what's the point? Just
yes, sir. Thank you.
Put it in an index.
Thank you, JT. You just, man, that answer alone just blew my mind. Thank you for answering that. So
right,
all
it
of
looks
that.
Like Orlando's in the chat and he agrees with me.
Yeah, thank you, Orlando. Orlando Miner is amazing. Thank you. Thank you for your free newsletter. Also, Orlando, you are amazing. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. That is my last point was my first point. He is done. Please, if anybody then the sound of my voice is listening or giving him another chance, be one, King. Gone.
My brother, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me bring up Clarity Speaks. Clarity, you are live on the air with Pocket Watcher with JT. What's going on?
Hey, greetings. Can you hear me okay?
You sound a little far away. You might want to get a little closer to the mic.
All right, how about now? I hope that's better.
That's better. Go right ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to agree with the gentleman that just got off. You're being far too kind to Mr. Boyce Watkins and so on and so forth. But I wanted to just throw this out here relative to him showing up and endorsing the funds that he's now backpedaling and booty popping off of endorsing. I don't believe that this man gave $10,000 to that fund. I believe that he was there. Yeah, I believe it's all a lie. I believe that he showed up there with his, to be the B1 cheerleader because that was part of his brand. And Jay Morrison paid him to show up because they both are in the delusion that they are more influential than they think that they are. And as you hear Boyce, as he talks about how he was there to, mentor him and this, and that, and the third, that was B1 cheerleader. He's coming off like he's the, the mentor, the financial guy, that's going to teach him the way. I think it was all a setup. Just in the same way that this man pointed out how he had that Asian guy come before the people and sell that course. That's what he and Jay was doing, and that's why you notice he's not mad. If he really lost $10,000, if he really lost that, I think he would had to have more to say. I don't think he gave any money, and first of all, I don't think he got it like that. He has been relegated to be a YouTuber, and his commitment to this chattel slavery rhetoric has cost him opportunities, and why he's no longer a professor. You know what I mean? If he was so in love with Black people and wanted to teach them finance, why wouldn't he be employed at an HBCU as a finance professor? He can't because he's burned his bridges with all of this delusions of grandeur about Blackness. And I'm Black and I love to support Black businesses, but it's his brand. That's all I have to say. I don't believe nothing he says.
Hey, listen, I agree with you. I think one of the greatest tragedies when it comes to the Boyce Watkins brand is that he is a shell of the person he could have been. And I told him this on Twitter. I said, listen, man, you had an opportunity to be the finance PhD, ushering in a generation of financial experts and professionals. He could be a seasoned professor at Howard or Morehouse or wherever, bringing in a group every year, hundreds or, over the years, thousands of Black minds that would be in the finance world. He could also try to shape the financial laws within the country, because that's what real finance professors do. They are in think tanks that are shaping laws within this country that would help our community. But what does he do? He goes online and beefs with Lizzo.
Right. And look, just 3 days ago, he was online and my man Delano Squires responded to him. And I actually responded. But basically, he says the NFL draft is a lot like a slave auction, except the slaves aren't working for free. And then Delano had to say, look, bro, the NFL draft is nothing like a slave auction. Basically, these guys got skills. They went to the marketplace. It was valuable, and people are paying for this value, bro. You know what I'm saying? So this particular narrative, and unfortunately, in a lot of Black communities, in a lot of our community, this like you guys call it, race affinity. It is causing us to not think soberly, right? We come from, our ancestral pedigree is of the finest, but we're continually thinking about it in the negative, in the way that Boyce is talking about it, this inferiority complex. They want us to just keep licking our wounds. And I'm saying, no, look at our ancestral pedigree. Look at the resilience there. It should empower us. But they want us to continue to keep licking our wounds because the elephant in the room is Black is their brand. That's their brand.
Right. And not just Black. That's a great point. I would add this. It's not just Black is their brand. Black victimhood is their brand.
Absolutely. And basically he was thrown out of or I don't know what the situation was. We need to dig into that. He was a professor per se, whatever, but it was this sort of mentality that he couldn't go. I mean, he couldn't progress in that setting. So it was a PWI. Then he couldn't even.
He was trying to get tenure. Tenure is basically, you're a professor that can't get fired, right? When you're a tenured professor at an institution, you're basically in a position where you can do almost anything you want. You're untouchable because you just can't get fired unless it's something crazy. He was going for that and he was denied. And if you read the reviews from supposed students, he wasn't the greatest professor.
I read it. But here's the other gag. Why you ain't over at the HBCU then? You love us. Why you ain't over there? But then when you hear him tell it, they're also, slaves to the man too. You know what I mean? Like, so it's this mentality.
Anything you gotta say to not have a real job. A lot of people, listen, a lot of people online just don't want to have a real job. That's what it is.
And that's exactly what I said. Now you're a YouTuber, bro. You are a YouTuber. You are safe for algorithms now, right? And that's why I know he ain't put no 10. I'm suspecting, okay? I'm totally speculating, okay? But I'm putting my money on the fact that he did not pay, $10,000 to this bro. He probably got paid $10,000 to endorse this mess, right? Because that's the hustle. Then Tony put us on you put us on JT to pay to play type of thing.
Oh yeah, the podcast payover. That's always been a hot topic.
Yeah, it's still kind of that payola on this, event payola too. I would say, what I'm saying, come endorse my course, come endorse this and that. So that's just my take. So I'm gonna end it there. But it's great chatting with you in the chat.
Yes, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Y'all go check her out. That is Clarity Speaks. All right, here we go. We got Kyle. We got Will B. Some of these names, y'all got to listen. Y'all got to be easy on the Pocket Watcher, boys. Some of these names, I can't pronounce, but it starts with a V. So it's Kyle, Will, then it starts with a V. If you're in the back room right now, trust me, I'm going to get to you. We're going to have a conversation. I'm bringing up Kyle. Kyle, you're live on air.
Thank you for having me on tonight, Mr. Thornton.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
When I think of the word invest, it seems that in our community, people think that, you can just throw money at something and get rich quick, right? And what I learned from your course, for example, the free course that you offer on your website, investment starts with yourself, right?
Right.
You have to
That's
get
right.
out of debt yourself and invest in yourself, doing all the hard stuff that's behind the scenes that nobody's looking, the stuff that you say, like you said, is not sexy, right? You have to save, right? You have to make sure that you're managing your everyday expenses. You have to have expense report or sheet so you can have oversight of your own stuff first, right? And I don't think a lot of people are willing to do research on things that are bigger investments, like in companies like the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. The average person, especially in our community, is not going to do the necessary research to get all the information. That's why a lot of people fell prey to it, right? And let's just be honest, Boyce doesn't even invest in his own channel. He's been on YouTube for years, and he has the same dusty blanket up with that's supposed to be acting like a green screen or something. I don't know. How can you even trust what he says if he doesn't even invest in his own channel? That's just right there in your face. So like if we look at it like financial fitness, right? How does it look when if you're like a fitness instructor and you're out of shape, but you're trying to train somebody on how to get in shape? That's the oxymoron, right? Doesn't make any
Yeah, man.
sense.
It's hard to get motivated when your personal fitness trainer is morbidly obese. It's tough.
Yeah, yeah. And another thing too that I wanted to point out, you can't support other businesses if you're not in a good, strong financial position yourself. You could of course you could give $10 today to some fund or something like that, right? But wouldn't it be better if you were in a financial position that is good and clean yourself so you could give more than that $10? I mean, what's the bigger impact there, right? So you focus on
Right.
yourself first before you even decide to invest in anything else. And
Yeah.
I believe Jay Morrison and Boyce Watkins, they use a lot of double speak. They used a lot of buzzwords paired with the charisma and swag to appeal to the emotions of the Black community, to get us to pour our money into something and, play on our want to believe into something bigger, right? And Boyce likes to use the buzzword, like one of the previous callers said about, the Black man's got us down and stuff. That may be true, right? But it shouldn't blind you from doing your research. Research, research, research. That's how you prevent uh bad stuff from happening, especially with your own finances. Um
Yeah.
and then they also I also wanted to thank, you, Tony the closer, Eli from What Happened to Common Sense channel, Orlando Minor, and Yvette Carnell for giving out all the information, doing the lives, being consistent with the stuff that you guys upload, because I've learned a lot from it in the last 3 years, and I'm very thankful. That's all I wanted to say.
Man, thank you so much, Kyle. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank you. All right, here we go. I don't know what order I said before. If you guys could only see the back room, it gets jumbled when new people pop up and other people drop off. So I got to go in the order that I see. I got VC, I got Uncle Eric, and then I got John. So VC, you're live on air. What's going on?
All right, man. First off, good evening. JT, man, welcome back from tax season.
Thank you, thank you. I feel good, man. I feel good. I felt like it's been a long time, man. I would be in the office till like 11:30 at night. You guys don't understand how crazy tax season is, man.
Oh man, I'm already knowing. Man, first off, I missed the monologue, so I don't really know the full nitty and gritty details of what's going on with Boyce Watkins. But but me being from Atlanta and moving to the DMV, going back home to Atlanta, like guys like Boyce Watkins, what's his name, Jay Morrison, all these guys, they fit the same type of character, man. So what they do is, they use different ways to get at the Black community. So say, for example, you come from an urban background. They try to use ways to get you, not to educate yourself. They tell you college is a scam and things like this, things like that, to use your money to, like you said it before, Toro scams, Airbnb, all that stuff. And then when you
Right,
talk
right.
about Mr. Boyce Watkins, it's funny how I know more about Boyce Watkins from internet drama than his actual his actual financial
Yes,
background. Like I
yes.
like
That's the
dude,
thing. That's the
it
crazy part.
like dude, if you're a PhD, you know what I'm saying, Ohio State, wherever, why aren't you putting your foot to the ground teaching in these schools? Why is when I'm hearing about you, you're beefing with Corey Holcomb and he's going in on you about your marriage? You know, like, and it's just funny with these type of guys because it's like this doesn't really have to happen if you just use your brain. If you just actually focus on actually educating people instead of just trying to, take advantage of, black people, like middle-aged, elderly black people who messed off their 20s and 30s due to some of their
Mhm.
financial decisions. I think we'd actually be in a better place. And one thing some of these guys need to realize is, man, you're actually you're a better salesman than a businessman. And once these guys start trying to carry the image that they're this businessman, these things always fall apart.
That's such a great point. That's such a great point. Let me hit that home one more time. Most people that you see online who claim to be these amazing businessmen and businesswomen, they're simply marketers. They're good at sales, but they fail at business, right? The lady with the pink sauce, she's a marketer, but the business failed because she didn't know the basics of operating a business. Famous Amos Cookies. That man was a great salesman for his cookies, but he doesn't even own 1% of that business anymore because he didn't understand business. He was a salesman, and we fall for that every single time. Thank you, brother, for coming up. I appreciate it. All right, let me bring up Uncle Eric, then John M. Uncle Eric, you're live on the air. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good morning. I'm well, almost morning, but good evening.
Right, it's almost morning for some people. What's going on, man?
I just wanted to say I was watching Boyce Watkins for a long time. Well, it was for a couple years, and I was just retired out of the military, and I was like, you know what? Let me listen to him try to find out some financial stuff. He never taught me anything financial. He would always talk about his intelligence and everything else, but I didn't never heard him talk about anything financial. And then all of a sudden it just started to turn like real guy. His channel started to turn real gossipy, and he would pop up on the screen. Hey, oh, what's going on? Hey, this is Boyce Watkins, and what we gonna do is and I'm like, I guess what I'm trying to say is his voice. He never talked about anything financial. He always talked about his education and how smart he was and everything else. But at the end of the day, he wasn't working at no HSBCUs. He didn't go try to work at HSBCUs after he got fired from his working at Syracuse, I believe. And I would say, I'm gonna just say this. I know I'm kind of rambling, but Boyce, his judgment is bad. He's going against masculinity, telling other men they should go out and wife women that are like, you have to question a man's his logic in anything
Yeah,
he's
I
saying
don't
if he's
even know why
talking
he's going.
against masculinity.
I think this touches to the point that you're saying that he was talking a lot, but he wasn't talking about finance. I think Boyce Watkins is a person who had a lot of potential, but just like me, I'm aware that talking about the basics of finance is not sexy. You're not going to get 1 million views talking about you need to make sure that you have a budget, an emergency savings fund, pay down your debt, and then you can slowly dollar cost average into the stock market, and you'll probably be a millionaire by the time you're in your mid to late 50s. That's
Yes.
not sexy. He saw a particular lane. He saw Kevin Samuels, and he said to himself, I'm going to be the anti-Kev. I'm going to say something that's going to get me back into this algorithm. So Kevin Samuels is coming with this red pill thing. I'm going to say something else to try to start up a beef. And then now I'm back in the algorithm. And when you start chasing the algorithm, you become a prostitute to social media. And you got a man that could be writing thesis papers on how we need to change the financial laws in America, maybe drafting and working with ADOS to help with reparations. But he wants to beef with Lizzo, Corey Holcomb, whoever he needs to get into some sort of online beef with, because that gets clicks and views. The man has no day job with a
No, he doesn't.
finance PhD. Listen, I do this for fun. I have a real office, brick and mortar, right? I have a license. People call me when they are in financial problems. They become a client of mine, and I do everything I can to help with the knowledge that I have and my credentials. This man, if you get in trouble, what is he gonna do? Do a TikTok video?
He gonna tell
I
you
mean, what can he do?
B1. He gonna do the same song and dance as everybody else, and try to get you to watch his show. Say B1 and blackity black like the rest of these blackity black influencers, just to try to make some money off the black community and not offer you no value at all. No value. Donate to this, donate to that. Hit the Cash App.
Right.
B1
on to the next convention.
Yep.
It's like a traveling preacher. Where's the next convention that I can speak and get a speaker's fee and then sell some books?
Yep. And I will say this too.
Self-published books at that.
Exactly. I'm gonna say this one last thing. Like I was I'm gonna finish up with this. Any man that will sit here and tell me that I should go out and we should go out and go and find these women that are, and I'm not trying to do the red pill thing. I'm just talking about his intelligence, period. Any man to run out here and tell other single men you should go out and find a woman and take care of their somebody else's kids, and then he goes out and does that with somebody that friend zoned him, that he said didn't even give him a time of day, and he went behind her after she was on her lap, and after she's lost all her, she's got kids already and everything. She's not young and vibrant no more, and don't have no kids. If he tells you to do that and he does that, that right there is all bad right there. That can tell you all, that tells me all I know about him. If that makes sense.
I got you. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate it. Personally, I don't care what he does in his personal life. It doesn't matter whatsoever. My thing is, since when did he become a relationship guru? And he needs to just tuck that in. Keep that quiet. Talk on finance. But finance is not sexy unless you're being over dramatic. The only reason I believe Boyce will ever go online and talk about something that's outside of his expertise is because he's chasing the algorithm. That's it. There's no reason he needs to be talking about relationships, period. We got John M. Then we got Rodrell. I hope I said that right. Then we got Dwayne. John M. You're live on the air. What's going on? Hold on, John. Hold on.
Hey,
I'm going to take you down real quick. Contrary to popular belief, I do not like the sound of my own voice. So if you are in the back right now, whatever device you're listening to me on, you need to be listening to me through the actual link. Because if you're in the back, you can hear me through the link. Don't have me on the TV or your tablet and I can hear the feedback. I do not like the sound of my own voice. Trust me. So John M., I'm gonna give you a quick second to get it together because I don't want to hear myself. So here we go. John M., you're live on air.
Hey, JT, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, but I don't hear me too.
Oh, I can hear you just fine. Okay.
Listen. I'm gonna drop you. I'm gonna come back to you. I'm gonna tell you one more time. Listen to me. Listen to what I'm saying, John. Whatever device you're listening to me on, it should be the device that you're using for the call. So I'm gonna go to Rodrell. After I'm done with Rodrell, I'm gonna come back to you. Once again, the device that you're using to call should be the only audio you hear from me. Rodrell, you're live on air.
Hello, Jason. Been watching your videos for quite some time now, and great job on the steam on the YouTube. It's been great watching.
Man, thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. As far as Boyce Watkins is concerned, he is as far as the relationships goes, like no one's entertained by the relationship dynamic. We're interested in finance. We're trying to understand what we can learn in that realm. We're not interested in learning how to be a better relationship partner or any of that dynamic. That's not what you introduced us to you as, and that's not what we're interested in learning from you. You know, I didn't turn on Jayson Thornton to learn about relationships. Now, it's always entertaining, but
and you should. You absolutely should. Listen, I'm a person who understands my lane. Now, I'm very good at doing metaphors. I might do a metaphor, but the metaphor is going to tie back into finance. When you start to try to be an expert in everything, that's when I know the grifter radar is going off like crazy. You bump into someone and they are talking about every subject under the sun as if they have 10 master degrees, 11 PhDs. There's no subject that pops up that they can't speak on. There's a problem there. Because there's a lot of things that you'll hear me say, oh, I don't know anything about that.
Right. And with Jay Morrison, it's quite a shame. He's a real estate personality, and for me, being a real estate agent for 10 years, I think for a lot of agents that didn't know any better, probably heard something about Jay Morrison around that time. I mean, the internet's been around for a little while now, and you see these faces and you're surprised. Damn, 20 years, 15 years, you know, you see these faces and you just forget sometimes that they may have influenced you in one way or another. But wow, full circle, the whole scam thing, Jesus. And as far as the real estate trust, was it a trust or was it a fund or is it a
no? It was not a REIT, right? It was not a real estate investment trust. A real estate investment trust has certain safeguards and certain rules and regulations that would have been more friendly for the investors. You know, a real estate investment trust actually has to pay out a majority of any net income to the shareholders every year, right? A real estate investment trust is something that you can get out of. It's very liquid. You can sell those shares in the open market whenever you feel like it. This crowdfunding thing, honestly, I think it was a mistake. It was absolutely a mistake because you are investing in these startup companies, these startup funds that normally would be reserved for accredited investors. An accredited investor is someone who has a net worth of $1 million, excluding their personal home, or someone who makes around $250,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
But this new law that came in the mid 2010s ish for crowdfunding that lowered the bar for people to come in to investment opportunities like this, I honestly believe it was a mistake on the government's side to do this.
Now, Jayson, because like I said, I've been in the business for 10 years, and I started off as residential, and I worked my way into groups like the Michael Blancs, well, I don't know, I'm probably just spouting out names, but basically syndication. And my question is why wouldn't he even just consider syndication? It's
because once again, syndication, a real estate syndication has certain regulations that I don't believe he wanted. The way he had this fund set up,
he wanted to get.
He could buy anything he wanted.
Wait, I'm sorry. We're talking about this, but I'm hoping that we're not losing anybody on the idea of it. You're saying that he's choosing this strategically.
Yeah, you're talking about him starting up a fund where he would have been restricted to actually buy real estate. In the fund that he had, he could have done almost anything he wanted with the money. He had absolutely no restrictions on what he could have done. The things that you're suggesting, one, probably would have been profitable, but two, he would have had checks and balances that clearly he did not want checks and balances. That's the issue.
Got it. Stay scheming. My goodness. Jayson, thank you.
Absolutely, my brother. Thank you so much. Let me get back to John M. I think he got his audio together. Hopefully, when I click this button, I don't hear my own voice. Let's try it out. Here we go. Oh,
Are we
John,
good?
I had faith in you, John. I had faith in you. Come on, brother. I'm going to give you one more shot. I'm going to go to Dwayne. Dwayne, you're live on air with Pocket Watching with JT.
How you doing, JT? How's it going?
Good, man. What's going on?
Nothing much. Always good to hear. Glad to see tax season over with. I know how that could be.
Yeah.
This thing about Boyce Watkins, you have to dissect him because he's not a frontliner. And what I mean by he's not a frontliner, if you can go back 10 years ago, Boyce wasn't talking about stocks. Maybe about 10, 15 years ago, he never talked about stocks. He never talked about cryptos. He never talked about anything. He's basically new. He never managed a portfolio. He never managed a group of clients.
Portfolio, yeah.
Not even a portfolio. He never managed a book of business, a book of clients. When you feel the weight of your decisions, where you have to make things right, or you have to go in and explain why didn't this strategy work, and you have to come back and correct. He hasn't been under that gun. In other words, for what he's trying to promote, he's not battle tested for. He's an academia. An academia person, they're not in the field. He's not in the field. He's never been in the field. He never felt the stench of 2008. He never felt the sting of the .com or the 9/11. He didn't get to feel that.
Right. He never had clients. He never had mad clients calling and wondering why their portfolio went down and stuff like that.
Yes. He's trying to be something that he's not prepared to be. And what he's doing is the reason, and that's why you see guys like him. That's why you see them talking about relationships. That's why you see them talking about these other, to argue with doing these celebrity stunts, because they're trying to make up for a lack of fundamentals. It's almost like they're deflecting because they know they have an area that's void in expertise that they're presenting to the people. To put in layman terms, he's pretty much a fraud when it comes to finances, pretty much.
Listen. I have to play referee. I get exactly what you're saying, and I get it.
I mean, fraud is stronger than word. Hold on, JT. I'm sorry. Fraud is stronger. That's a little bit harsh. That's a little strong.
Right.
I do lay it on some stuff. That's a little strong.
He earned his PhD. The year he earned his PhD, I believe he was the only Black man in the United States of America to earn a PhD in finance from The Ohio State. I will always give him his credit for that. I just think he went left somewhere.
But JT, here's the thing. Why wasn't he at Solomon Smith Bernie? Why wasn't he at JP Morgan, Merrill Lynch?
He ever wanted to be a practitioner. I know some people who just wanted to be in, like you said, in academia. He never wanted to be a practitioner. I think he wanted to learn finance, and then he wanted to teach it on the collegiate level. I think to actually be a practitioner, to actually be a financial advisor, to be responsible for clients, to help them build a financial plan and be there for the good times and the bad times. That's not for everybody. And I don't think he ever wanted to be that. But the persona that he plays online, he kind of gets the water a little muddy.
That's what I'm saying. He never wanted to be that, but that's what he's being. You see what I'm saying? That's the contradiction. If you're going to be just an academia, be academic. There's some, because this is, and it's unfortunately only in the Black community, our community, and we got some good brothers. I think you and Orlando do a good job. You guys are pretty fundamentally sound, where they give you data, statistics. They give, Orlando, he acts his own personality to the number, saying little things, type of things, being jovial about these type things. that's good. But when you're saying that you're holding these stocks club and you're telling people to get into crypto and you're telling people to buy this stocks, now you're in the realm of practitioner. And that's not your lane.
Someone sent me a clip of Boyce about crypto, and they were asking him, I think, about BitConnect, and he couldn't look at it and say, well, I don't know if it's a Ponzi scheme or not. The fact that he couldn't, within 5 minutes, see that BitConnect, and I think this was back in like 2018 or something like that, BitConnect was a Ponzi scheme. It tells me everything I need to know about his ability to actually practice finance. I had a client come to my office, and they was asking me, they was like, Mr. Thornton, I'm making so much money on this crypto thing. I just want to, sit down with you so I can plan it out. I said, okay, let's take a look at it. And they proceeded to talk about BitConnect and how much money they were making on interest on their money every day. It was something ridiculous, like, I don't know, like 5% a day or some BS like that. The second those words came out of their mouth, I told them that's a scam. I told them it's a scam. They was like, are you sure? I can go to the computer and show you the numbers. I told them that's just a computer showing numbers. There is no way you're making 5% a day, 5% a week, or 5% a month. It is a scam. But the finance PhD said, I don't know if it's a Ponzi scheme or not. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's like, come on, man. At that point, Boyce.
Right. Here's what I like to see. Since you guys are on YouTube, I think it would be good, because I don't, want to, he does have the accolades. He was the only Black PhD. That's something, Admiral. I don't think anyone is beyond redeeming. I'm a believer, so I just don't think anyone's beyond redeeming. But I do believe in repentance and doing the right thing. In order for him to get his brand back, I think he should be working with. That's if you guys want to put your brand with his. I think he should be doing some type of thing with you in Orlando, because he should be doing some type. No, I know you guys know, but no, seriously, because he wants to repair.
Boyce has no idea. Boyce has no idea that there's people around him who are disappointed to him. And to this point, people have sent me recordings of Boyce talking about me, private conversations.
Oh wow, that's sad.
Like now, as petty as I am, I will never release those recordings because it's not my thing. I don't need to do it. But I can tell you right now, based upon what I heard on those private recordings of Boyce talking about me, he would never stoop down to my level and do a collab with me. It ain't gonna happen based on the recording that I got.
But that's sad though, because you know why that's sad? Because our people, the way because I teach, I do finance. Of course, I'm a planner. Of course, I told you that before. I'm a planner too, and that's one of the things I see we're missing in our community. We need good advisors, and we don't need. It's such a need that you can't see everybody. I can't see everybody. He can't see everybody. So we need good advisors, and there should be some role to bring in people on, to bring on more people to serve. And that's just sad to me. And I'm sad to hear that, but I'll get off the line and let somebody else come. But thanks for taking my call. That's sad.
Absolutely, my brother. Thank you so much. All right, here we go, John. Everybody's excited to hear from John. All right, John, I'm looking at you. I can see you in your eyes right now. In 3, 2, 1. John, you're live.
Are we good?
Pocket watching.
Okay, are we good?
Go ahead. Just go right
ahead. All right. Apologies all around. But yeah, I was thinking about this issue, and maybe we're giving folks like Boyce and Jay Morrison too much credit. And this is my thinking about it. So I know a lot of people that have heard about these folks. A lot of people have listened to them and been entertained by them. But when you look at something like Jay Morrison's actual fund, 15 million investors, $11.7 million. Pardon? 15,000. I'm sorry, 15,000 investors, $11.7 million invested. You just do the math. The largest investor was only $40,000. The smallest investor I heard in Cesar Pena's thing was like $60,000 that you hear on the news. it seems like more than half were doing that $500 minimum. And that leads me to believe, especially based on people that I know, that the folks that he was targeting is really not the Black community at large, the educated Black community, the Black professional community. He's targeting folks that are struggling. Like, if you're putting $500 in, and that's the most you can put in your Jay Morrison, your Jay Morrison deal, either you're just throwing it in there because, hey, it's an extra $500, I don't care, or that's all you got. You look at that number, it's like less than 1/10 of 1% of the Black adults, even though so many Black folks I know listen to Boyce Watkins and were entertained by him. But does he really have that kind of impact for folks who actually have some money? Is he really moving those people?
No, to answer your question based on my information, I do not believe that Boyce Watkins has a large following of high net worth African Americans. Absolutely not. I do not believe so. But I believe he's not even trying to target that market.
No,
the
not at all.
market that he's going after is the same market that Jay Morrison went after. And that is why I believe they have such a strong bond. They have such a strong relationship. Because even though they have totally different backgrounds, one guy is a 3-time felon high school dropout who sold crack cocaine to his own father, Jay Morrison. And the other guy is a finance PhD, family guy. Based on what I know, he never gotten into any type of trouble or anything. They also have this in common. They both filed for personal bankruptcy, Chapter 7 personal bankruptcy, and they both sell finance courses. So their audience is the same, and it's really targeting people who have hopes and aspirations of building wealth and providing them with something that is supposed to be the solution, but he's been doing this for a long time. Where's the impact?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I look at that. It's not a lot of impact. His impact is his clicks. He's getting enough clicks to be able to live off his YouTube funds and whatever his small courses, like the kids courses are. And the reason why I bring this up is I know whenever we talk about this, and I listen to the show a lot, there's all about how, this is why the Black community is down. This is why we're down. We're going to be okay in spite of Jay Morrison and Boyce Watkins. There's folks that are still funding. I still remember hearing the stats that African Americans traditionally are more conservative investors than the mainstream investors. For years, we only put money in our homes. I hear a lot of folks are like, I'm the same way as you. I do not do index funds. I know I do index funds only. I do not do individual stocks. The only individual stocks I've owned, I was gifted as a child. But so I think the folks who, when I start hearing about folks like Jay Morrison and Boyce Watkins taking folks' pensions and things like that, then I'm going to be worried. Like Caesar Pinion was taking people's pensions. When he's taking people's $500, it's just like, it seems that people are, even the educated Black folks that I know, they may listen to him for the soundbite and be entertained, but they're not putting any money in his pocket. That's the thing. So, yeah, and then
I get that. And John, thank you so much. I'm happy that we got everything together. Any last point you want to make?
Yeah, 2 quick last points. Investing is simple and boring. Yeah, 2 quick last points. Investing is simple and boring. I like the little index fund, and like you can put it all the rules on an index card. But also one other thing related to the previous live you had. If JT's coming at you for something and you don't want any drama, just don't say anything. Be perfectly quiet. If like with these companies that you go after these scammers, and if they never say anything about you, never reply, oftentimes those guys just disappear. You never hear about them on your show anymore. But when they try to come back at you, there's problems. Thanks a lot, JT.
Wise words. Thank you, John. All right, here we go. We're going to get through the rest of these callers. I got Will the Broker. I got CJ, RC. Oh, we got Jacob, one of our moderators in the back as well. So let me go to Will the Broker. You're live on air. What's going on, bro?
Hey, what's going on, boss?
Yes,
Can you
sir.
hear me?
Yes, sir. What do you think about tonight's topic?
Oh man, first I want to say, JT, for the last few months I've been watching your show. And I'm a broker here in Florida. I've been in entrepreneurship about 19 years. I'm 37. And some of my mentors over the last 20 years, I've only, since I was 18, been in entrepreneurship. I haven't had a W-2, W-9 job since I was 18. And through my successes and some of my hard times, I developed a name for these guys that we watch on YouTube, not through this platform. Because I remember when I first got into the business, social media and cell phones. At that time, we had Blackberries, we had flip phones. Marketing was so different. And these guys now at this point, to sum all of them up, I had a nickname from them. Their nickname is the all you gotta do is ass niggas. I know it sounds crazy.
All you gotta do.
Listen, I was in a meeting with a bunch of other entrepreneurs at one time, and I told them, I said, bro, it's only one way to sum up all of them. The all you gotta do is ass niggas, and none of them have done nothing. The most they do is they read a book. Like I think I was watching something with you earlier today about Robert Kiyosaki, and no one have experience. You don't have the time in a day to be able to educate that many people and perfect your craft at the same time. There's no way you can do it. It's almost
Ain't no way.
impossible. And I think what Jay was doing is he was buying badges, right? You went out, you found this guy who had this doctor in front of his name. You never looked at his credentials. He never advertised. He never uh, did anything. And what confused me is if you're a financial advisor, that's almost like telling me that you didn't do your due diligence to check any research on his numbers. If I'm investing in anything, how can
that's
you?
that's the crazy part. That's the crazy part. And real quick, I gotta give a shout out. We have Yvette Carnell in the chat. Please listen. Go and subscribe to Yvette Carnell's channel if you guys are not subscribed to her already. It was the work of Yvette, Tone Talks, Eli from What Happened to Common Sense. They have been on this from day one. I strongly believe if they did not do the work that they already did, the maximum amount of money that fund could have collected was $50 million. If they did not do the work that they did, I have a strong suspicion that Jay Morrison might have got close to the 50 million max that he was going for. So you have to support these content creators who do not come with agendas, who are not trying to bait and switch you and try to sell you something. Oh, don't invest in his fund, invest in my fund. They were doing this straight out of their concern for the community. So shouts out to Yvette Carnell. Thank you so much for showing up at Pocket Watching with JT. Go ahead, Will. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah. So I've always used to ask, I'm petty like you, right? I'm real petty like you. I understand your frustration because sometimes it make me cringe when I hear these guys come to me and I pause usually for about 15 seconds because I'm insulted that you insulted my intelligence when you selling me this dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then number two, if it's working so well, why are you telling me about it, right? One of the things I learned in
Why are you
college,
creating competition for yourself in this great income opportunity? Real businesses do not create competition for themselves. They may bring you in to join their team, but they're not going to sell the game to you unless they're getting out of the game.
A proven point. Missouri was one of my markets. I mean, I promise you, you got a lot of listeners, and when I tie this together, they may know who I am and never knew who I was, right? Since 2010, I understand you probably know the bandit signs, right? So in 2010, we used to go to, I had a company that was the second largest in credit repair. And I left that industry after it got saturated. You know, everybody was getting into it. We used to have these red and white signs throughout the country. Repair bad credit 250 1-800 number, right? When we went to 300 cities since 2010, it was real large. Needless to say, everybody would ask stupid questions like, hey man, where you getting those from? Why would I tell you? If this is doing well for me, why would I tell you? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't want you to do well because
And to
that
be
means I
clear,
don't do
when
it.
you're talking about the bandit signs, you're talking about those signs that
Forward class.
if you pull up to an intersection, you got
Yes,
those
that was
signs.
me.
It's the same type of signs like for sale for the house. You'd have it
Yes.
on the corner, right?
Bro, that was me for about 10 years. Every corner on the East Coast you could think of. I had 5 trucks, 15 guys going out every week doing it. And I learned in college, we had, my professor taught us about core competency, your competitive edge. What sets you apart from every other business? If I give that away, then it's no longer valuable to me. So if I'm telling you this secret sauce or secret success that sets me apart from everybody else, obviously it don't work. I've already used it and abused it. I've already done everything.
The only thing you can do is sell it to the next sucker who thinks they're going to get rich off of it, but you didn't already squeeze that fruit and got all the juice out of it as you can, and now you're just selling the empty core.
Correct. There's no reason for me to tell you to create. I'm a real estate broker. I come up with new ways that nobody else find ways to advertise. But the last thing I'm going to do is tell the brokerage across the street exactly what I'm doing. It don't make sense, right?
Even if you were to sell it to them, it's still stupid because if you're still in the industry, you're losing your competitive advantage. And no real business does that. So shouts out to Will, man. Will, thank you so much for coming up. I got to get to these other callers because at some point we're going to close this thing out. But I will get to every single caller who is up here. So let me get to CJ, Jacob, and then we got Prince. Oh, we got Prince in the building. I'm gonna get to you, Prince. Don't worry about it. CJ, you are live on the air with Pocket Watching with JT.
JT, the Pocket Watcher. What's up, baby?
What's going on, man?
Hey, man. Hey, I just want to prefix this with, yes, invest in index funds, but pay your credit cards off, please. They are getting 24%.
Oh, you got to
yearly.
You got to listen. If you guys are trying to invest and you got credit card debt, you're hustling backwards. I have, and I'm a plug the free course. The course is free. I have a course where I go over the ways and the steps of how to try to get financially stable. You first have to have a budget. After you have a budget, then you can try to build up some sort of emergency savings fund. Then you can try to pay off debt. Then you can invest. If you go out of order, you will end up broke. If you got high interest credit card debt, and I've seen some of y'all have credit card debt, 25 plus interest credit card debt, there's no point of investing if you got credit card debt. Pay that off first. But go ahead, CJ.
All right, so he had me. JT, this man had me. I was looking at the live view. We building a black house. We doing this for the community. I said, let's do it, baby. Show me what you're doing. He showed the offering curriculum. He showed that. He's like, yeah, we're going to do 8% preferred, and then we're going to split the profits 50-50. I said, hold on, Playboy, hold on. You saying I'm going to give you my money. You're going to earn 8%, and then we're going to split it? No, sir. Hold on.
It's like, how much profit do you think you're going to make? After the 8%, you're telling me there's still money left for the 50-50. And here's the crusher. Here's the crazy part that I don't think I've mentioned a whole lot,
right?
But it's one of the things that pissed me off the most. One of the very first things they did after raising the money, they paid themselves money for work that they did before the fund started.
Management fee, 5%. Acquisition fee, another 3%. Development fee, 2%. Asset management.
They literally paid people for marketing the fund. Like you can look, if you look at the SEC paperwork, they paid thousands and thousands of dollars to their staff with the money that investors put in.
45,000 before the investors started getting their money was invested. But this is the thing, JT, 8%. So I'm paying you to make me 8% when the S&P 500 can give me 10% annually. So I can just put it in S&P 500, get 10%, but I'm paying you 50% to give me less than the S&P 500? No, Playboy. No.
And let's remember, Boyce said he asked Jay Morrison all the hard questions. Because remember, he's a PhD in finance. He asked all the hard questions, and Jay Morrison had all the right answers.
And this is the due diligence. So if you are the PhD in finance, if you are the expert, this is the first thing you do. See how they are getting paid and what they are getting paid. And if they're worth getting paid. And no one is worth getting paid that's not even beating the average of something I can just put my money into. It's called the waterfall effect. You only get 50% if you get over 20% return. It's no way you should get 50% there. So that's my thing. The due diligence should have been done by Boyce, whereas though he said, hey, I don't think we should all invest in this because, we're only receiving 50% of our profits when we're not even beating the index. So Warren Buffett always says, my goal is to beat the S&P 500. His benchmark wasn't even to beat the S&P 500 before he was getting a 50% return. So that's my thing. My last point is this. I hear a lot of times people say, it's the black community, No, this is all races. There's people out there in all races that gets people like this. It's black, Caucasian, Asian,
they
Latino.
Got even more money, right? Just to emphasize your point, I have fun on this channel, right? And we specialize on grifts and stuff that happens in the urban community because that's who we are, right? But to be real, the black community. And I'm sure Tone Talks and Yvette will absolutely have all the numbers and charts and stats to back this up. The black community does not have enough money to even come close to what the larger community gets grifted out of. Scamming is $1 billion a year business. Scamming. You can't scam the black community out of billions of dollars because we don't have the billions of dollars to get scammed out of.
And it's just a little bit more sophisticated when it comes to other races. So the first thing, so I just don't agree that it's just one community. It's everybody that's trying to do it. But I just wanted to share that with you that due diligence should have been done, and anyone could see just by looking at the offering circular that this was not a manager that managed money. Because if you look at any other professional manager, which you can do from the SEC.gov, from the actual filings, how an actual waterfall works, from actually researching it, and see that 50% profit split is not an average thing that happens with management. Hey, thanks, JT. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great things for the community.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, let's bring up Jacob, one of the moderators here, Pocket Watching with JT. What's going on, Jacob?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Yes, I have 4 things I want to say. First, did Boyce Watkins knew that Jay Morrison lost his real estate license?
Okay, let's touch on that. See, Jacob's coming. He's deep diving. So let's talk about this for a second. Based on several reports from people who worked with Jay Morrison, when Jay Morrison was a licensed real estate agent, we are told that when he was in New Jersey, he worked for 2 major companies. He brags about how he worked with Sotheby's. Sotheby's is a luxury brand when it comes to real estate. What he will not tell you, and what all of his coworkers will tell you, During his time working for Sotheby's, the man never sold a home and he was fired. So that's point one. When he was fired and he, had to leave Sotheby's, he went to Coldwell Banker, very well known brand, but it's not the same as being a luxury brand as Sotheby's. We are then told that he did some sort of deal with a young guy who wanted to use one of the properties to film maybe a music video or something like that. This is the story that's online. This kid wanted to use a $10 million property. I think the property was really more worth around $5 million or $6 million, but Jay had it listed at around $10 million based on the story. And the kid said, he wanted to use the property to shoot a music video or something like that. Jay Morrison took $5,000 from this kid so that he can shoot the music video. According to the kid, he ran off with the money and never let him shoot the video. So the kid's father complains to Coldwell Banker, not Jay. Coldwell Banker paid the kid back the money. And apparently, from what they say, Jay Morrison lost his real estate license in that situation. All of this happened well before the Tulsa Real Estate Fund and could have been easily discovered if Boyce Watkins did any type of research.
Second, did he know that Jay Morrison filed for bankruptcy, had a lawsuit that did not offer the bankruptcy?
Great point. So one of the things that Tone said earlier today on the live stream is that Jay Morrison uses the name Jay Morrison, Jay Morrison. It's a nickname. You don't really see him ever put Jermaine on any type of marketing material and stuff like that. I think one of the reasons why, and I think Tone kind of alluded to this, he doesn't put his full government name on documents and make it known is because if you Google his full government name, that bankruptcy will pop up. You will see Jermaine D. Morrison's bankruptcy filed in New Jersey. Okay. And did Boyce know? I hope he didn't know, because if he did know and he still endorsed the fund, that would be gross negligence. I think it's negligent that he didn't check. It would be gross negligence if he did check and he went forward with it anyway.
The third one on the SEC, shouldn't they stop it when they look at the application and look into his background set that he was a 3-time felon?
Yeah, see, and that's the crazy part as well. He talks about being a felon, and you have to put your background in the SEC filing. But here's one thing that most people are unaware of. The bankruptcy that I just talked about, he did not include in the SEC filing that he was in a bankruptcy. When it was found out that he was in a bankruptcy, he had to add that to the filing. Here's the catch. Anyone who invested before his disclosure that he was in a bankruptcy was actually entitled for a redemption or a refund of their investment. It wasn't publicized enough. Okay. It's called a material omission. That is a material fact that all investors should have been aware of. The fact that the fund manager was in an active bankruptcy. He was forced to put it on the SEC filing, but that was after the first round of fundraising, which was actually the biggest round. Like the first round of fundraising was the most amount of money he got. He got a few more millions with other rounds, but that first round is where he got most of his money. And technically, anyone who wanted to say, hey, if I would have known that you were in personal bankruptcy when I invested, I wouldn't have invested, they could have got a refund. But most people were unaware of it.
And number 4, this one goes back to Boyce Watkins. He said And I quote, according to Jay Morrison, it is, quote, SEC approved, close quote.
Oh my God. Okay. See, all right, listen. Jacob is hitting it out the park. He's hitting it out the park with this one. So, for those of you who are not financial advisors and you never had to sit down and take the investment advisor exam, Series 65 exam, right? One of the things that they drill into your head as you study for this exam is that the SEC has never, will never approve of an investment. The video that I played earlier of Boyce Watkins promoting this fund, he said on more than one occasion that this fund has been approved by the SEC. The SEC does not approve investment funds. They register the fund. And that is a big difference. Register means I gave you all the information so that if something goes wrong, you know where to find me to put me in jail. Approve means this is a good fund. You should invest in it. You cannot use that language. This points back to the fact that Boyce Watkins is an academic. He went to school. He went to college. He studied. He got his PhD in finance. He then turned around and became a professor. But he never actually lived in the world of being a financial advisor because that is such a no-no word that when I hear someone talk about an investment is approved by the SEC, I literally cringe. That's how hard they beat that into my head that you're not supposed to say the SEC approved of an investment. Great point, Jacob. Hitting it out the park.
I want to say it. I know some of these things from your past videos on YouTube. That's how I learned about some of these little highlights that I went over.
Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate it. Some of this stuff is so crazy. The Jay Morrison story goes over and over and over again. There's so many twists and turns, but thank you for being able to even recap and bring that back to our attention. Jacob, one of the moderators here at Pocket Watching with JT. Thank you so much. All right, let's get through it. We got RC, then we got the resident and Charles. So RC, you're live on the air. What's going on?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Hey, all right. Thanks for having me up. Sure. I don't want to seem like we're pouncing on Boyce, but something's just got to be said. I'm in no way a financial expert, but I think back, 10 years ago, I think it was. I remember the first time I seen Boyce, The Breakfast Club, Charlemagne, back when Angela Yee was on the show, everything.
Right. I remember.
Yeah, this interview about Black and investments and things like that.
They actually, I believe, if I'm mistaken, I could be mistaken, but from my memory, I remember they brought him up after they had Dame Dash on the show.
I was just about to say that because Dame went up there and was lambasted and made fun of Envy, talked about having a job and having a boss like having a daddy. And I was hype off that as well, being in my mid-20s. And next thing I know, they got Boyce up there. And Boyce is talking some similar stuff, but he sounds more educated. I've been dying for some type of black literacy, financial literacy. And, back then I'm just thinking, great. And I got somebody who can talk to us, tell me what to invest in. It's going to be great. I'm loving it. And turns out he got his own YouTube channel. All right, I'm on it. I'm watching it. That first video, same stuff he talked about pretty much on the interview from what I remember. After that, man, I think I saw stuff like him talking about Atlanta housewives and the Real Housewives of this and that. And I quickly realized I don't know what he's about, but maybe it's just, and you had a caller up here a few callers ago. He said fraud, and you kind of pulled him off that. I'm gonna say something different. Now, this is my opinion. I'm gonna say, he's an opportunist. And going back to some
absolutely agree with that.
Some previous calls you've done before, videos you've done before, somebody came up and they said, "Look, I called him and we invested from school money, from college money, for Boyce to come speak at our event. And Boyce got up there and spoke for about 15 minutes and went and sat down and embarrassed the man and everything. So I think there's no looking past it. I mean, so I lay it out like this. He wasn't fooled by Jay Morrison's swag, savvy, sexiness, smooth talk, good looks, charisma. None of that, in my opinion. It was Morrison laid the game down quite flat, and Boyce picked it up. And he knew game recognized game. He understood it completely. You know, I can make a lot of money from this, and I'm gonna put it out there. And I think there's been enough things over the past 10 years that kind of indicate that. And that's my personal opinion. And finish up. We're going over to Jay Morrison. It's a shame because it's a shame because we see it often. Black people, not black, criminals or ex-cons, people convicted, felons, come out of prison and they talk about, and it's true, they can't get a job. What's my opportunity for success? You just said that this man was a convicted felon, got out of prison, and went and worked at one of the best real estate firms you can work at, Sotheby's, and then the Coldwell Banker. He got 2 jobs.
Yeah.
So even with the felony. So that's a good opportunity for you to come in and say, well, look, you know, I cleaned my life up and they gave me an opportunity, and I have created an avenue and set an example for other people to follow behind. But when you do stuff like that, and we went to college, we know we get internships, and the dean of your college will come to you, or your field of study will come and say, look, when you get an internship and they give you a business card and you go and instead of buying lunch, you go and buy some jeans with it and some jackets and shoes, they fire you, and then they don't come back to our school and take more interns. So you screw it up for the people coming behind you. So, you know, man, it's messed up all the way around. Yeah, so I'll get off my soapbox. I thank you for, you know, keeping the live up long enough, at least for me to get on, you know, to get my little 2 cents in. Appreciate it. Yeah, man, you know, Boyce, in my opinion,
Hey, I appreciate you, RC, man. I feel good. Listen, man, I missed you too. I ain't gonna lie, man. I love my firm. My firm always comes first, but having an opportunity to talk to you guys is amazing. I love being able to talk to you guys, hear your point of view on these topics. And if I can help in any sort of way of giving a recommendations, you know, I'm here for it. We got 2 more callers and we're going to wrap this thing up. So it's a very long name, but it starts out with The Resident. You're live on air.
Hi, JT. It's the resident therapist. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for calling in.
It is a pleasure. I actually came up here because I'm not a guru, but I did want to say to you as a licensed mental health professional, thank you for humanizing the art of finance and bringing it to our community where it is so desperately needed. When you listen, you have no idea because you deal with the finances of people. I see them after they've been ripped off, where they're deciding if they want to live or die after they have given their life to doing it right. And here comes a grifter. And they just take their money. And then it's like, what am I supposed to do? With that is what clients come in saying, brother, I got to give you your ashe. And I'm going to give you your ashe. I am, JT, because you deal with the psychology of finance. You are ripping back the veil of the mystique. And I so appreciate that because oftentimes, as the new players on the board, we're impressionable. And people show up with these fancy cars and this slick talking, and they bring this data that you never see. When you self-identify as petty, I'm going to push that a little bit. Brother, I'm going to push it. Ain't nothing petty about you, you tenacious. Okay? You are tenacious. You are filled with tenacity. And I'm grateful for your wife and your family because they keep you rooted, that you can come out here with your artfulness, your soulfulness, and educate community about what's really happening out here in these financial streets. So I just want to thank, what's happening, JT? What's going on, bruh?
I want to listen. I'm rarely at a loss for words. But I just I'm humbled. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. The impact that this show has is amazing to me because I never thought that it would have an impact. I really just want to make fun of people online who were fake gurus, but the fact that it has this positive impact, it's amazing. And I do want to say I thank you because my family does keep me grounded because some of these guys get online and they'll get complimented like the way you compliment. And then all of a sudden they're walking around wearing pajamas in public because now they believe they are the finance messiahs of the Black community. Listen, I'm still the same old humble country financial advisor from St. Louis, Missouri. But the fact that this hour or two a week that we get to have a conversation around the right and wrong things in finance, it's amazing. Thank you very much.
JT, let me say this to you. Just who you are is enough. I so appreciate Grace for rooting you in the garden of humanity because I get it as a professional. You said earlier in the show, you spoke about this is your playtime, this is your fun time. You understand whoever got it gets to give it. You spoke about the brick and mortar deal, that you got a job, you go to work during the day to support your skill. When I do the same thing, so I get it. Because when we get out of school with these credentials, they don't even come alive until you practice with them to connect the dots. Okay. And with that, you humanize and you bring clarity to finances and understanding what that is, what this means. And the fact of the matter, it's like a preacher. I don't sit under preachers who don't have a job. That's just my own thing as a seminarian, and that's keeping it real because when you work to earn, when you work to learn, when you work to grow, it has a different essence. You bring the real, and you didn't just get here overnight. And you're right, when we're talking about topics that are not sexy but real, when we talk about tangible goods, that's not what society is running for. They're running for the salacious. But what I want to say to you, keep going. I get it. I'm a Black woman, a Geechee girl, and I still walk barefoot. I still crack my crabs with my teeth. It doesn't matter that I'm the first Black female brain spotting trainer in the world. Because the day I can't see about community that I'm called to, then that becomes problematic. It don't get that good. So thank you, JT, and keep going. You ain't seen nothing yet, and I love it that you can still have fun with it because I've decided at 54, if I ain't having fun, I ain't doing it. If your work ain't passion,
It ain't worth it. Listen, I have a real job. If YouTube felt like work, I wouldn't do it. I do it because it's fun.
thank you. Keep having fun, and I'm having fun with you, and I view my profession and my work in the same way. That makes you effective. Have a good night. Thank you so much for taking
You
my
as well.
call. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. All right, we're gonna go to Charles, but I want to answer a question real quick. I see this question in the chat from Charles. Charles says, "You in FIRA? I think you're trying to ask, are you FINRA broker check, bro?" So for those of you who may not know what he's asking, am I a broker on FINRA? Like, can you check me on FINRA? You can check my name on FINRA, but I am not a broker. So a broker is someone who would be licensed to sell a investment, right? Someone who can sell you a stock, bond, mutual fund. They work for a company and they get a commission on the sale. I have never and I will never be a financial advisor who sells things to clients. I'm an advice-only financial advisor, meaning I am paid only by the client to give them financial advice. You can go to my website, thorntonadvisor.com. You can go to the bottom here where it says verify CFP. When you go to verify CFP, you will see, let me bring up this next page. You will see the actual CFP, Certified Financial Planner website, where you can verify if the person is actually a certified financial planner. It pops up right here and it shows I am a certified financial planner right here with the CFP board. You can see my history. Are there any disclosures? Have I had any bankruptcies? No. Any disciplinary actions? No. Okay. No bankruptcies, no disciplinary actions. I am a certified financial planner. That means if a client hires me, they're hiring me to give them financial advice. They're not hiring me to sell them something like a used car salesman where I make a commission off selling them something like insurance, like stock, bond, mutual fund. So that is my credentials. I'm also an enrolled agent, licensed tax advisor as well. All right, so going to the last caller of the night, we have Charles. So let me bring up Charles real quick here. Let me see. Give me 1 second, Charles, to set this up. Here we go. Charles, you're live on the Able Pocket Watching with JT.
How's it going, JT? Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to have a little bit of fun with you, JT. Just wanted to let you know I am a financial strategist, JT. Let me explain to you what a
for those who don't get the joke. Yeah. But yeah,
no, go ahead, JT. Go ahead.
Those who don't get the joke, I'm not a fan of the term financial strategist because I always say I have no idea what that means. Financial strategist is like a term that I didn't learn when we was in school. Like I know what an investment advisor is, I know what a broker is, a CFP is. There's a lot of people online who call themselves a financial strategist, and I'm like, that title has no weight whatsoever. So I've made fun of that in the past. But go right ahead, Charles.
Yep, I'm a financial strategist, and the strategy that's a part of my financial strategist title is first, what you want to do is you want to get into the trucking guru business. You want to hold on, JT. I want to do this without laughing, JT. You want to get into the financial trucking guru first. That's the first step to financial freedom and generational wealth. You know, you got to throw the generational wealth in there. Once you're done with that, you're going to go back and go to recession proof. See, walk with me, JT, walk with me. Then you're going to do recession proof. Once you're done with recession proof, this is what you're going to do. You're going to get all the paper in your house and you're going to write a letter to the government and tell them that all the bills that you've been paying for the last 35 years, because you're living in your mother's house in the basement at this point, but all the bills that you've been paying, they need to pay them back to you because you're going to use your secret government trust to get everything. Once you're done with your secret government
trust for value, you got to send them that official acceptance for value letter.
Yeah, you got to send them that letter, and it's subsection DX32 of the United States Revised Code in the back of the bingo book. When you get there, you know, once you're done with that, you're going to get a segment on EYL. Once you get a segment on EYL, you're going to get another segment on the Breakfast Club. Once you get a segment on the Breakfast Club, you're finally going to end up on Pocket Watching with JT because you done scammed people all your life.
Listen, I'm laughing, but that is a real pattern that people have used to be able to get a brand in finance Negro land online. Like that is a playbook that a lot of these clowns use. They find a way. I think it's podcast payola, but they find a way to get on one of these podcasts. they have a course or a mastermind to sell, and then all of a sudden they're an expert and they're selling you a course for like $2,000, and they have absolutely no education, no experience, and the next thing you know, they're on an episode of Pocket Watching with JT.
And that's my favorite part, because they all I don't know if you ever seen the social media stuff where people go like, for example, hey, I'm an AKA, of course we, and then they kind of give the explanation. So I had the one that was like, I'm a scammer that lives in Atlanta, of course I'm gonna end up on Pocket Watching with JT.
Send that to me. Make it and send it to me.
Okay, I got you.
Make it and send it to me. I want to see that.
Yeah, man. No, I just wanted to have some fun with you tonight, because although I said all of that jokingly, you are correct. That's the exact blueprint that they follow. And even with the last show that you did, which was a great show, I was surprised that you were up for 4 hours, JT. I was so surprised when I seen it. I said, oh yeah, tax season must be over now. He came back over here. But that's the one thing I saw, and people were just like, the Primerica people especially were just so hurt, and they felt so. Listen, man, it's all right. You're caught, man. It's okay. Just take your L and move on. The Pocket Watcher is 42-0, man. The Pocket Watcher is 42-0. Why are y'all still trying to come up to the Pocket Watcher, man? Come on, man.
Let me talk on that too, because a lot of people talk about that as well. I pick my opponents very carefully. I'm not out here just shooting random. I know exactly who I'm making a video on. So it's not as if it's like, oh man, JT just gets everybody. It's because I'm shooting fish in a barrel. We're talking about people who think that they're secret government accounts. I'm talking about people who are in multi-level marketing companies and they're doing great. It's like, it's not that hard. I mean, I love the fact that y'all guys think that, oh man, JT knows his stuff. I do know my stuff, but we're talking about my competition isn't that hard. I just want to be clear here. The competition isn't that hard. So thank you guys for your support, but I'm punching down when it comes to a lot of these people who come up and try to debate me. I just want to be clear. I'm punching way, way down.
And I love it because the content that they give you willingly, not you don't even have to ask. The content that they give you is always so hilarious. Rabu is probably my favorite one. I can just go back and watch your videos, but Rabu's my favorite one because he comes on, bro, you sure you want to do this, man? You sure? Are you sure you want to do this, man? Because my team, we never lost. And then
Rabu Gary, listen, bro, if I wanted to be petty, I could play voice note after voice note that Rabu Gary has sent me on Instagram begging me to take the video down. If I wanted to be petty, I could. But I mean, I am super petty, but I'm not going to punch that low. But
okay.
That guy, he's hilarious.
Good to see you. Once you finish him, you kind of leave him be, JT. Yeah. I get that. I see. Even though we would love all the pocket watchers, man, I'm sure we would love to see you just keep kicking down their doors. But I see you got something where you say, "All right, I done kicked you enough, man."
Yeah, there's certain stuff that I don't do. Like literally, like people who work with him 500 and stuff like that, they'll email me stuff, but it's like on a personal level, right? It's like I'm not gonna put out their personal info, stuff like that. If it's dealing with finance, we can have the conversation, but I don't care about their personal life.
Right. And yeah, so that that's another reason why your show is well respected. It's something that I show my nephew your show. My nephew's 18. Show my nephew your show. He showed his little friends his show. But this is, one of those steps that you take towards just really getting your mindset right in terms of, don't fall for this grift. And the last point I'll leave you on is one of my favorite things you've said. Tony said this and Eli said this. Just because you got in one of these scams, it doesn't make you lesser than. It doesn't make you an idiot. It doesn't make you stupid. You know what I'm saying? But you just have to learn the right things to do. And I know a lot of it comes from desperate people in desperate situations. And you'll be surprised what somebody in a desperate situation will do to try to get back on top. But JT, thank you for having fun with me tonight. Thank you for having fun with all of us tonight. And I look forward to your future shows, man.
Man, thank you. You guys have no idea how much I appreciate the audience, the subscribers. I get so many emails every freaking day of people who want me to sell y'all stuff. Crypto companies, a bunch of different ads. They all want me to sell you guys stuff. I don't want to sell you guys stuff. Your view, hit the like button. That is enough. I will try to promise you, unless there's something that I really support, there's no way I'm going to waste your time and try to sell you guys stuff. Just watching the video and interacting in the comments, calling up the show, that is enough for me. I have a real day job. I'm not going to try to sell y'all stuff. I'm not going to stop the show halfway through and say, this episode of Pocket Watching with JT is brought to you by goat milk. Like, there's no point, right? I'm not doing that to y'all. All right, we got one last caller who popped up. We got Q. So, Q, you are live on the air with Pocket Watching with JT. Going once. You're the only person here. Going twice. There it is. All right, guys. So listen, I'm so happy that y'all been with me for almost 3 hours now. Just as a summary, I just want to show you guys this one more time. This is a personal story that Dr. Boyce Watkins told yesterday. I believe that this personal story that he tells gives us an insight on his character and the way he thinks about his responsibility to people. All right. This is a personal story. No one told him to do this. No one forced him to do this. This is a personal story that he told. Check this out.
This is the last time I want to talk about it on this platform. I'm not talking about it no more. I'm just not. I done told you everything I know. It's like the police. The police, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me like this one time with this lady. I used to work at the dorm and in college, and I would sit at the desk and I would work all night. And so packages would come in for the students, and we would keep all the packages in the back office. Well, I didn't know this, but I had a homeboy who was a thief. And so this dumbass stole packages, and I didn't even know it. He was supposed to be my buddy. He was trying to, and he was stealing stuff behind my back. So this old white lady calls me and says a package is missing. Do you know what happened to it? And I was like, I don't know. I'm really tired because I stayed up from 12 to 8 a.m. and she's calling me like 11, like a really bad time, right? And the phone's really loud, and it was like almost traumatically loud. And I remember being mad to answer the phone. I'm like, hello, what? And she's like, well, there's a package missing. Do you know what happened? I said, no, I don't. I'm sorry. And then I go to sleep again. And as soon as I fall asleep, she calls me again. Oh, there's a package missing. Do you know where the package is? I was like, no, I told you I don't know where the package is. And then I go to sleep again. 10 minutes later, there's a package missing. Are you sure you don't know where it is? I was like, lady, I don't know where your damn package is. That's how I feel when it comes to talking about like stuff like this. It's like, I told you one time, and that's it. In fact, I didn't say it once. I said it like 3 times. And despite how many times you say it, there are people that are they just have their beliefs. Like that lady, she believed that I stole the package. That's what it was. She didn't. She's like, oh, he's black. He must have did it. Whatever. Right.
And right there, that is the problem with Dr. Boyce Watkins and his inability to take accountability when it comes to the failure of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. Telling that story gives me everything I need to know. Boyce didn't even realize that it was his job to watch over and, protect the packages. So when that lady called, she might not have been calling you thinking that you stole it. She's looking for answers because it was your job to protect the package. And you were fooled by your so-called friend who ultimately, based on your story, stole the package. So it's your responsibility. That's why she was calling. And the reason why you are getting a bad response from your subscribers when it comes to the Tulsa Real Estate Fund is because they feel as if it was your job to actually vet the investment the way you claim you did. That is the problem, boys. But listen, there's always an opportunity for redemption. You can always clean yourself up. I'm not going to write you off and say, oh, it's over for Boyce. You got that opportunity. The question is, what are you going to do? Are you going to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I proclaim myself to be a financial expert who is looking out for the Black community. I dropped the ball and I'm going to admit to it and move forward. Or are you going to keep deflecting and saying it wasn't your responsibility to actually vet this investment that you promoted? That is the problem. All right, Pocket Watchers, thank you guys so much. I will be back hopefully soon. Just pay attention to the Instagram. I do a lot of updates on Instagram. There is a free finance course. If you go to PocketWatcher.net, I teach you how to budget, save money, pay off debt. Okay, go to PocketWatcher.net for that free course. Or if you need more one-on-one help, you can get a free consultation also with the firm.
Hey, Pocket Watchers, are you looking for real financial advice? Thornton Advisor Group is here to help. Jayson Thornton, certified financial planner, specializes in tax and wealth planning. Are you living paycheck to paycheck with no retirement plan? Do you need help with the IRS? Book your consultation with Thornton Advisor Group to get a financial plan, budgeting, savings, debt management, tax planning, investing, and retirement, even IRS debt settlements. Stop trying to run the play. Get the advice you need to live your best life from a certified financial planner. Book your consultation appointment today. Go to www.thorntonadvisor.com.